Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
And here we are, the ultimate Cleveland sports show. G. Bush is sick again today, so I was going to be off today. So I got the call in from the bullpen. They asked me to come in today, so here I am.
The bullpen.
Earl.
Cute.
The bullpen.
I see what you did there.
Jason's here. Earl is in today. And by the way, we're doing a draft. Speaking of Earl, we're doing a draft. And one thing we can count on with the draft is that Earl's going to be a Browns homer, which means he's probably going to win the voting.
I hate these drafts. I told Mikey last night. I hate these drafts.
I'm trying to get in his head a little bit. Yeah. Trying to mess with him, trying to pressure him to take other teams. We'll see if it works. I don't know. By the way, there is a line of delineation, by the way. But if you look at, and I'll give these guys a clue, if you look at linebacker, defensive line, and secondary in the AFC North, that's 12 units. But there are only 7 that are any good. So really being in the 1 spot is a huge advantage because then you get the 6th and 7th pick.
You've already spent more time looking at this than I have.
That's right. There's only 3 teams that have a good defensive line.
Yes.
There's only 2 that have good linebackers.
I'd say 1.
No, there's 2.
Well, all right, 1.
There's 2. And there's 2 that have good secondaries. That's it. Then you have, the third secondary's The other 2 linebackers suck.
Yeah.
And the 4th secondary and the 4th D-line suck. So we'll see. We shall see. We'll get to that. Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor with a snub. We'll get into that. And we'll do some nonsense about the Cavs later, too. Mike is shorthanded because Earl's out here. Anthony's off gallivanting around. I don't know. He's at a Pokemon concert or something. I don't know what's happening.
I have a question.
Yes,
it just
please.
struck me.
Yeah.
Shoot, Jason.
Is everything Cavs going to be nonsense until April
No,
with you?
pretty much.
We'll do some Cavs nonsense at the end.
What are we
Screw 'em.
talking about? I forgot what we're talking
I'm
about.
not watching any basketball until April.
F it. Mike, what are we talking about with the Cavs? I forgot.
We are ranking the best young cores in basketball. See where the Cavs 25 and under core ranks.
Okay, the best cores. I think Steve. I'm gonna let Steve pick mine for me. By the way, I forgot.
Steve can draft my team too. By the way, that's fine with me.
By the way, I forgot to share the story yesterday. So it's a 2-part story. One sucks and the other is funny, I think. So I meant to tell you yesterday. I forgot. So as a fellow Little League coach, I'm curious your take. As a younger guy, Earl, well, you're not as young as people think. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Yeah,
people think I'm in my
young,
20s.
but you're not that young.
Yeah.
I'd love to be 35 again.
My God, I'd sign up for that in a second. A second. To take 17 years away? Oh, my God, it'd be amazing. But, so here's what happens. So Sunday, instead of our regular practice, I took the whole team to the batting cage.
Yeah.
Because our fielding is where it needs to be at this time of the year. We're doing well with the fielding and the throwing. I'm like, our hitting's still a long way to go. We're going to spend an hour at the batting cage, just rotating through. All right, so I had there's a place out in North Ridgeville,
Yes.
North Royalton, Sportsville,
North Ridgeville.
Okay.
We're going there in a week or
Nice
so.
place.
Yeah.
So the day before, I rent 3 batting cages,
Yep.
right? You can do that for
Yep.
an hour.
Yep.
So I book batting cages 1, 2, and 3 for an hour starting at 10 a.m. Whole team gets there at 9:45. We go in, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, I'll tell the bad part of the story first, that right at the end, my son took one right in the mouth. Not good. His lip, it looks like he got, what is that like some of those celebrity women do into their lips?
Oh,
Botox?
It looks like he got Botox in his lip. And it's that bad. We've been icing it, and it helps. But, he goes to camp for 7 hours. Can't ice it when he's in camp. So, anyway, so he's going to play. I got to get him right back in there. So he's going to play in tonight's game. He got hurt. He's okay, but it it looks like crap. But halfway through the time, this guy walks up to me, looked like he was about my age, maybe a little younger, I don't know, but not too far off. And he's sweating, okay? He's got a bat with him. And he walks up to me, and he goes, can I use one of the batting cages? I said, there's 4 of the batting cages. Go use them.
Yeah.
He says, well, the slowest miles per hour is 50. And then the 3 you're using, the slowest is 40, and I want to hit all 40. I said, well, I got my kids here. They're hitting, so no, you can't. He's like, come on, I'll give you a token.
What?
I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I rented these for an hour. I'm not letting you use it. He's like, I don't know if he said F you or what. He said F something. And I was like, really? Get lost. I'm like, get out of here.
Paul gets in fights at the band.
Like, what are you, a clown? I'm like just yelling at the guy. I'm like, you're an adult. What are you doing?
Yeah.
The kids need to practice. You're an adult. Go somewhere else. And then the guy just scurried off. And I was like, what an idiot. Was I 100% in the right?
Yeah, I think
right?
you were. I like making fun of you, but I can't make fun of you on this.
No, I mean, you can make fun of me fine, but like in this case, I'm right.
He's an idiot, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what? You can't hit 50. You're an adult. If you can't hit 50 miles an hour.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, what is the point?
Yeah.
What are you, I mean, ridiculous.
He thought he was going to bully the bull out of the batting cage.
I mean,
and that didn't work out for him.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but hopefully, my son's okay, so that's good. All right, Mike, what do we got today?
Well, we are glad your son is okay.
Yeah.
We are glad that you stood your ground, and we are glad that Tom Benson Stadium this Saturday for the Mauler Stallions USFL Championship will be packed with plenty of UCSS fans, and that's because we're giving away 32 more tickets from right now till the end of the week, and we're going to give away 4 right now. So, Earl, you're out on the set.
What's up?
What word should the people put in the chat?
What word should people put in the chat?
Has to be one word.
One word. Oh, Lord.
Lord, it is.
No, championship.
Championship?
The word is championship.
Mike.
Championship.
And I asked Director Steve, he said number 5. So the 5th person to put the word championship into the YouTube chat right now is going to win a 4-pack of tickets to the USFL Championship game. Anthony, I know you're watching from home. Anthony, you got to take care of this from Parma. Shout out to Parma, by the way, and Anthony, who's working from his bed in Parma.
I don't know if it's necessary to shout out Parma or Anthony, but okay if you want to.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is Corey McLaughlin. Anthony, make sure you flag down Corey.
By
Send
the
us
way,
your
do you
email.
think Anthony washes his own sheets or his mom washes them for him?
Well, he lives with his parents. I'm assuming his mom would wash
Mom
them.
washes them.
Mom
Yeah.
definitely.
For sure.
was.
Really?
How old is he?
He's like 25, right?
Yeah, mom's
How
watching.
old is
Anthony just turned 25.
Yeah, he's not washing his own
Mom's
sheets.
He
watching.
didn't just turn 25. He got a birthday coming.
Is he just turned? No, he's not 20. He's not 24.
Don't you think if you have a
just
girlfriend, you
texted
should
me,
be able to
said,
wash
what-
your own sheets?
WTF. I do all my own laundry.
He does his own laundry? Well, that's actually stupid. There's a reason you have your mom there. I mean, I could make fun of him either way.
And Anthony is 25. He's turning 26 next month. So Corey won the 4
really
free
like to be
tickets.
26,
Anthony will reach out to you, Corey. Get your email
Shout out
address.
to
We'll send
Corey,
you those
man.
tickets. And we're going to give away 4 more later in the show in the second hour.
Cheer on the Maulers, Corey. They're a big underdog, 6.5-point dog in this USFL championship. Speaking of championships, kudos to LSU, who after getting destroyed in Game 2 of the College World Series, destroyed Florida last night in Game 3. Those LSU players look like they're major league players already, like in terms of their size.
College should go to wooden bats. Why is college still using aluminum
it should.
bats?
They should.
I'm sure it's
Because
all the
people
money
love
that they're
home
making.
runs.
Especially
That's
in D1.
literally why.
Like in D3, they want to use metal bats.
Yeah,
I guess,
go ahead.
fine.
Division 1 should be using wood bats.
Yeah, they should. It does sound cool when it comes off the metal bat.
I was at the home run derby, the high school home run derby.
Yeah.
And when the All-Star game was in Cleveland a couple years ago,
Right.
pre-COVID. And they had high school kids in this home run derby, and
Yeah.
the high school kids were hitting the scoreboard with aluminum bats.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
somebody's going to get killed in here.
Yeah, I know. That's
Even
kinda
in, like, that's nuts.
Yeah. That is
I don't know
funny.
where that
I
came
didn't realize
from.
that.
I don't know why. But wood
Well,
bats,
I brought up
guys,
the College
wood
World
bats.
Series, but no,
Yeah.
I agree with you on the wood. They play wood bat in like the summer when they play in.
My son is playing in a wood bat travel team, college age, this summer. It's a wood bat league.
What do you mean? Oh, your older son.
Yeah, the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my middle
Is
one's
it-
not playing. He looks like he belongs in college.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's not.
no.
First home run. First
I know,
home run.
That's awesome.
That was a piss missile.
It
Yeah, it
was
was.
a piss missile.
It was.
220-ish feet over the fence.
He should have took his time, though. You know,
Oh, he raced around.
He
Oh,
raced
he
around.
was, man.
He was so excited.
When you're a kid and you hit a home run, you just. It's like you're in heaven. You're just flying around the bases.
Off the bat, I jumped up. It's like, oh my God, I think he did it. I think he did it. And then where it landed, it was like, oh yeah, like that was a no doubter.
Yeah.
He did it.
That's awesome.
I used to have this combination of Manny Ramirez and Sammy Sosa strut when I used to we
did
used to
that?
play any bounce all the time. So when I would hit a home run,
Yeah.
I try to kind of kick my feet and have my arms out like I was Sammy Sosa. running
Sammy
around
Sosa
the base.
did have the great hop.
Yeah, he did. I've never hit a home run in my life
Really?
over the fence. As a kid, that was big doings. That was a big. Did you
Yeah.
guys hit home runs?
Yeah.
I did, but not a lot.
I never hit one.
There was a kid, my teammate, in Babe Ruth League, this kid named Stanley Jeter would have been. I'm convinced he would have been a major league player had he stayed off of drugs. But he would bat third on our team. I hit fourth.
Yeah.
I would almost never come up with anybody on. I think there were, like, when we were playing 13-year-old baseball, I'm trying to remember the numbers. It's so long ago. But I'll say, these are not the exact numbers, but I'll say there were probably 22 home runs hit over the fence.
Wow.
And he hit like 15 of them.
Wow.
Of the 20. I think I had 2, and then a couple other people had 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And he had 15.
Yeah.
This guy was unbelievable. Best kid baseball player
In our league
I've ever
this summer,
seen.
2 kids have hit it over the fence. AJ and one other kid. That's it.
Yeah, in Rocky River Little League, we haven't had. I don't think we've had any in the minors this year. Last year there was one kid who's moved up to the older levels who had, I think, 3 or 4 last year. There's always a couple of kids. My friend was telling me real quick, last quick story about this kid who pitched in his little league a couple of years ago, his son's little league, and I actually found an article in the New York Post about this kid. He had pitched like 50 innings. And had given up 1 run the whole season, had like 110 strikeouts.
Danny Almonte, and he was 22.
Basically, right. That's basically it. All right, Mike, what are we getting into now? We're doing some football. We got some rankings. We got some drafts. Let's hit it.
Yep, we'll get into some football. Just want to remind everybody out there, we appreciate everyone who watches UCSS from anywhere you are. Hit that like button if you haven't. Please subscribe. It takes 1 click, costs no money, helps us out in the long run. So we appreciate all the good people out there. There was a Playmakers rankings list that ESPN put out yesterday that we're going to run through real quick. We're not going to discuss necessarily the Browns ranking the Playmakers list because it was the final piece of the puzzle for a much broader question I want to pose to you guys. So this was from Bill Barnwell. This is his top playmaking units in the NFL. We're going to run through these real quick.
Again, playmaking is running back, wide receiver, tight end.
Correct. And this is less about the rankings. This is more about the big picture question I'm going to ask after this. But just so everyone's on the same page, here are Bill Barnwell's top playmaking units in the NFL entering the 2023 season. You had the 49ers first, Bengals second, Eagles third, Seahawks fourth, Chargers fifth. Let's keep moving, Steve. He has the Vikings 6, Cowboys 7, Dolphins 8, Jaguars 9, and the Falcons at number 10. The next list is where the Browns come in
12,
just behind
Steelers
the
13.
Raiders at number 12, the Steelers at 13, Saints at 14, Ravens at 15, 3 of the 4 AFC North teams in that 5-some category. Then the Lions, Bears, Buccaneers,
This list is crazy.
Chiefs at 19,
ahead of the
Bills
Lions?
at 20.
The Bills are 20th, and the Seahawks are 3rd?
Yep, let me just keep finishing this, then we'll open up the big
Well, it
picture
doesn't
question.
include quarterback.
It's nothing to do with quarterback. This is just playmakers. Then you got Commanders, Jets, Rams, Broncos, Colts, 21 through 25. And to end the list, you have the Patriots at 26, Giants 27.
Yeah, who cares?
Packers, Titans, Cardinals, Panthers, Texans.
Who cares?
Long point of this was to show that after all the offseason rankings now, the Browns have come in the top half of the league in essentially every different category that PFF or ESPN has ranked.
For whatever that's worth.
Take it for whatever it's worth.
I will say, though, if you look at the Bills' skill position, outside of Stephon Diggs, who's really good?
I think Gabe Davis is good.
But he's just a guy. I mean, he's...
I like Dawson Knox.
If they loved him so much, they wouldn't have drafted a tight end in the first round.
I know. I was pretty surprised by that.
So comparatively, some of these... I think the Ravens are a little too high. I would have the Lions.
Well, I mean, they do have Odell now. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's worth 5 spots.
I mean, I don't know. I think in terms of where the Browns are ranking-wise, I don't know. Can we see the top 10 again? If we think the Browns...
this is the AFC North rankings. You can take this. The Bengals were 2, Steelers at 13, just behind the Browns at 12.
But I wanted to see if the Browns should be moving up a little higher, right?
I would have put them
top here.
I would have put them ahead of the Raiders. I definitely would have put them ahead of the Raiders and the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons was surprisingly high.
Yeah,
the Falcons I didn't love. But this whole thing's less about the individual rankings here for the Browns.
No, I know, but first we want to discuss this for a minute. So just put up 5 through 10, please. All right, well, let's look at the Raiders, okay? Nick Chubb better than Josh Jacobs, but that's not a massive gap because Josh Jacobs is a good back.
Jacobs was the first-team All-Pro last year. Nick Chubb was second-team All-Pro.
Yeah, I still think most people would take Chubb. But
Chubb's definitely the better back, yeah.
Jacobs had a career season for him.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb has a career season every year. So Nick Chubb more consistent, the better back overall. But it's not a massive gap because Jacobs is a good back. I don't even know who the Raiders' tight end is. I can't. They
just traded Darren Waller.
Yeah, didn't they draft a kid? Did they draft somebody in the first round?
No, look at who
they drafted. I thought they might have drafted one of those tight ends. So I mean, David Njoku's okay. And then their number 1 wide receiver is Devontae Adams.
Their tight end's Austin Hooper. And they did draft Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, but no, he's not there. Michael Mayer's their starter. It's not Austin Hooper.
And they signed O.J. Howard, too.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Michael Mayer was a first-round pick. So they're projecting. See, later, somebody's going to pick the Browns' defensive line high. That's based on projection, not on last year.
I don't know, Steve. Who are we taking first?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Well, who got the first pick?
Well,
we'll get to that. The point is,
Mike's going to strangle
who's the Raiders' number 2 wide receiver?
Hunter Renfrow, Jacoby Myers, who they signed from.
Yeah, the Raiders. I'd take the Raiders' skill position over the Browns.
I don't know. I think.
Where are the Browns better?
Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore is both better than Hunter Renfrow.
What about Devontae Adams though?
Devontae Adams.
How
is the best.
Elijah Moore better than Hunter Renfrow? Where's the facts to back that up?
There's no facts. I'm just basing that off projection. There's no fact. There's facts.
Well, then I'll take Michael Mayer over David Njoku.
No.
If we're doing projection.
No.
David Njoku's just a guy. Michael Mayer's got upside. He's a first-round pick.
I'll take Atkins over Hooper.
That's irrelevant. They're both useless. I don't care.
Can Hooper run more than 3 yards without falling down?
And as for the Falcons, that's all projection because they think what's his name's going to be the next great running back.
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
I would actually put the Browns ahead of the Falcons, but not the Raiders. So the Browns are appropriately ranked. They're right around the back end of the top 10.
The Seahawks really third?
Well,
they're fourth, but
fourth.
Yes.
They've got their wide receivers.
Their wide receivers
very strong,
are excellent,
right?
yes.
And then Jackson Smith and Jig was their third receiver now. They got the kid, the back they had last year was excellent. I can't think of his name.
Is it Kenny Walker?
Is it Kenny Walker? Is that his
Kenneth
name?
Walker.
Kenneth Walker. And then they drafted another running back high this year. I don't know about their tight end. I can't think.
They got Noah Fant.
He's
okay.
It's
okay.
So I mean, maybe they're a little high, but anyway, okay. Bigger picture, you want to look at the fact that the Browns are ranked in the top half of most of these rankings. To Mike's, the question that Mike wanted us to discuss is there any excuse for the Browns to not have a level of success, which is to me winning double-digit games and probably making the playoffs? I think the AFC is so strong that I think you could win 10 games this year and not make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So
what do you do then?
Right, I'm not firing anybody in that. It's disappointing and people are going to be pissed, but I'm not firing anybody. If they go 10-7 and they're the 8 team and they just missed out because there's other teams that are 10-7.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say to fire everybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But let's say they win 10 games this year. Is there any excuse for the Browns to not win 10 games? Earl, go ahead.
I think the only excuse that's viable, that's reasonable, is something was to happen to Deshaun Watson.
Nah, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about injuries anymore.
That's the only way.
Excuse for every team.
That's the only way. But outside of that, I think the Browns have all the ingredients to make this a great season. You look at everything they've done as far as additions in the coaching staff. I think Bill Musgrave was a bigger addition than what people think. He's going to help coordinate the run game with Stump Mitchell. You got Alex Van Pelt back in his original role as quarterbacks coach as well as offensive coordinator. We know he had the most success with Aaron Rodgers when he was the QB coach. You got Bubba Ventrone as a special teams coach. And then you added specialists to the special teams unit. We already know what Jim Schwartz provides. We already know what you've added on that side of the ball. I think we all can agree that a lot of experts felt like Elijah Moore was better than any wide receiver that was coming out of the draft this year. So if he was in this year's draft, he probably would have been the first wide receiver off the board.
I don't know about that.
I think everything is there.
I don't think that's the case.
To me, I feel that way. And I think to close that out, Kevin Stefanski going into year 4 is finally going to be able to unveil the offense that I think he dreamed of running when he initially took this job. I think all the ingredients is there for a great season.
All right, Jason, you agree? You have to, forget injury, because any team with injury, besides injury, is there any excuse for the Browns not to win 10 games?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
I think that's the bar. The biggest thing going against the Browns is the division they're in. We talked about the other day. I kind of laugh at how easy the Guardians division is and just what a meat grinder the Browns division is.
Right.
And how important that is, especially in the NFL when you're playing each of those teams twice. But, I mean, we've said it since the end of last season. There's no more excuses for this team. You're all in, and this nothing would surprise me with this team. They could go 11-6, and I'd go, yeah, all right. They go 6-11, and I'd go, yeah, well, it's the Browns.
Yeah,
what'd you expect? So I don't know if there's not many other teams that have this high of a ceiling and that low of a floor.
Yeah, it's very rare that you'd look at a team that finished in last place in their division and say they better win 10 games. That's the bar, but it obviously is. There's no excuse for the Browns to be bad. Obviously injuries, but every team has that same injury excuse. Any team loses their quarterback, they're going to be bad, except for maybe the Niners. If Joe Burrow gets hurt, the Bengals are going to win 5 games this year, 6 games maybe, 7. I don't know. They're not going to make the playoffs. I can tell you that. So there is no excuse. You have to win 10 games. You have to be in the playoff mix. Obviously, I want to say they need to 100% make the playoffs. I think some people would say that's fair. I don't think that's fair considering, look at the teams that, they finished with the 9th or 10th best record in the AFC last year.
They were in the playoff hunt till literally week 18. They were in.
Yeah, but not legitimately.
But they were alive till week 18.
But what did they finish in the AFC? I think they were even lower than 10th. So there's a lot of teams ahead of them. How many of those teams got worse?
Not many.
Did anybody get worse?
The teams that finished ahead of the Browns?
Yeah. Well, the Titans got worse.
Yeah, but the Titans were already crappy. I don't know.
You asked teams that finished ahead. I'm just giving you the teams that finished ahead who got worse. The Titans got worse.
Yeah.
We'll just go through. Jets better or worse? Jets got better.
Definitely. They got Aaron Rodgers.
Patriots better or worse?
Same, I would say.
Steelers better or worse?
Same.
Probably same.
I think they're a little better.
Dolphins better or worse? They got Jalen Ramsey.
If Tua's healthy, they're better, but who knows if
That's a wild
he
card.
can
I'll
last.
say same.
I'll say the same for them as well.
Jacksonville.
They got better.
They got Calvin Ridley.
Coming
back,
back, so
I think they're better, yeah.
Baltimore.
they got better.
They got Odell Beckham.
I don't think Odell, but they draft. I don't know.
I like this. I
think they're the same.
I think they're better because they have the uncertainty surrounding.
That's true.
Lamar
That's fair.
is settled,
Okay,
so I
you're
think
right.
they're
I
better.
agree with that.
Chargers.
I'll say better. Huh?
Chargers.
They're psychopaths.
I think they're about the same.
Bengals.
Probably the same. They got weaker at safety, but they got much better on the offensive line getting Orlando Brown. So I'd say overall it's same.
Bills.
Same. Although there's some tension now between Diggs and Allen. I don't know what's going on there, but
And then Kansas City.
probably same. Actually, I think Buffalo. If this Michael Mayer kid, tight ends rarely have an impact. Not Michael Mayer. Who did they draft in the first? Whoever.
Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, tight ends very rarely have an impact in the first round, but not a lot of first round tight ends get to play with a guy like Josh Allen, so he could have an impact right away. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being second on their team in targets. That's a pushing it maybe because he's a rookie tight end, but I don't know.
So based on that last year,
and the Chiefs, obviously,
and the Chiefs, yeah. 11 teams finished ahead of the Browns last year in the overall conference standings.
Yeah.
Only one of them we all definitively agreed got worse.
And the Titans were irrelevant anyway because they weren't going to the playoff. So we know that, the Jaguars are most likely going to win the South, and that's it for the South, right? But in the other 3 divisions, between the AFC North, the AFC East, and the AFC West, you could make a case for almost all 12 of those teams making the playoffs. I think the Broncos might be a stretch unless Russell Wilson bounces back.
Yeah, I'm not a Russ believer. But
I'm not either, but it's not impossible that he could bounce back.
Right.
The Raiders were really bad last year. I think they're a stretch too. But, and I think the Steelers are also a stretch. I don't see them as a playoff team. But it's not crazy to think any of those teams could potentially make the playoffs. But certainly between the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets, that's 7 teams right there.
Yep.
And only at most 6 of those 7 can make the playoffs. And that doesn't even include the Browns. So it's tough.
Yeah.
I think when I look at the situation, I look at the Chargers, I look at the Browns, and I see kind of the same situation. 2 very talented teams that, for whatever reason, keeps underachieving, right? The Chargers have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, and they seem to not be able to meet their potential. And I think that's been the same with the Cleveland Browns, but I expect the Cleveland Browns to put it all together. We just went through the list of all the teams that either stayed the same or got worse, but we can all agree the Browns got dramatically better in their coaching staff and on their roster.
Yeah.
And
but maybe we're ignoring, maybe they're, we pay attention to the Browns much more carefully than we do these other teams. Maybe these other teams got better at a position that's not as high profile too, and we're just not as aware of it. Because the Browns, at least in terms of players, only got better at defensive line. Did they get better at any other spot, any other position?
Wide receiver.
They got better at wide
receiver.
But how much better did they get?
They got better than they were last year.
I mean, just the addition of Tillman, Moore, and Goodwin.
Yeah,
is
Goodwin's nothing. Tillman is a rookie. We don't know if he can play. And Moore hasn't done anything in the league. I think they're better, but I'm sure there are other teams.
They're better at receiver. Moore makes them better.
Yes, Jason, but my point is there are other teams that probably made the equivalent at other positions of adding a Moore and a Cedric Wilson we don't know because we're not following those teams closely. So when we say all these teams are the same, probably some of them are better. We're just not locked in.
You know, it would be an interesting case study if you go back to Mikey's original question. So they were 12th in the playmakers, whatever.
Yeah.
All these rankings run together. But,
right.
So the rankings that he's talking about.
Yeah.
So you said that they're top half in all of them. Is that right?
Essentially, yeah. Quarterback, running back, offensive line, playmakers, defensive line, secondary, and coaching staff.
Not linebacker, but
I would be curious on, and this is a June project, and I have no interest in doing. I'm just saying, what the aggregate of the Browns compared to the other teams, their ranking. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Their ranking.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're 12th here, they're 9th there. They're
right.
6th. How does that compare to the rest of the division and then across the NFL? How many teams rank?
Well, that's the thing. My guess is all 4 teams would be in the top 16 of the league.
Probably.
The Bengals would clearly be at 1, but the Browns would probably right there with the Ravens for 2, with the Steelers just behind them.
It feels like in all of these rankings that we talk about, those 3 teams are all jumbled together. Pick whatever order you want.
Yeah.
Like 11, 13, 15, or 12, 14, 7. They're all clumped together.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens, Browns, and not as much for me, the Steelers, but a lot of people feel like the Steelers feel like 3 teams that are in the mix for the wild card spots. And it doesn't mean the Browns can't win the division, because the Browns have, in my opinion, much more upside than the Steelers or
100%.
Ravens because of how good potentially Deshaun Watson could be.
Yeah.
And the unknown of the defense. And as Earl brought the point to, they made a lot of coaching changes that we are very positive about.
Right.
You know, I mean, going to Jim Schwartz, I mean, what an upgrade at defensive coordinator.
You would think. It sure appears
on
to be
paper,
that.
they huge upgrades at DC and special teams coach. And those should make a difference. Doesn't always work out that way, you know, but I mean, listen, the upside for the Browns is through the roof. The Browns, if Deshaun Watson plays like he did in Houston, the Browns could be in the Super Bowl this year. I don't think that's crazy to say.
No.
Now, if you ran a simulation and you said, well, what's the most likely outcome? Well, it wouldn't be the Browns in the Super Bowl compared to, you'd put them behind, at minimum, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City in the AFC. At best, you have them as 4th most likely, at best, going into the season. But that's because those teams, we know for sure about their quarterbacks.
Correct.
With the Browns, we don't. But if Deshaun Watson plays at that level, maybe not Mahomes, but plays at the Burrow-Allen level, which we know he's capable of because he's done it. If he plays at that level, then the sky's the limit for the Browns. They could definitely go to the Super Bowl this year. I don't think that's crazy at all.
No, and I hear what you're saying about, the unknown, the uncertainties with the wide receivers. But I think that can be said for a lot of teams across the league. We talk about the Ravens, right? Todd Monken is their new offensive coordinator. You got Odell Beckham. You got Zay Flowers.
Right, so, but we're not putting them in that top group.
I'm just saying, but when you speak of, well, we don't know if the Browns got better here or there, I think that what all these teams, right? Let's say with your Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. We know they upgraded on offensive line, but it can still be an issue of chemistry, right? So I think that knowing how the NFL changes so much from year to year, the unknown, just like the injury factor, is going to always be
That's true. There's always every year there's teams you don't expect to be good that are good. There's teams you expect to be good that are not. It happens all the time. Yep. You never, and you just you see a team, you're like, oh, this team's got to be good, and then they're 3-10, and you're like, what happened?
How did that happen?
Or you might be like, why did I ever think that team was going to be good?
Yeah,
I don't know. It is interesting how that happens, but maybe Mike can do that aggregate, because I think the Browns would probably be, my guess is they would be somewhere between 8 and 10 when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that'll take.
Which I think is where they are. I mean,
a little bit of time to do, but don't underestimate what a long
Mike
weekend
can do.
We do still have a month before training camp.
Yeah, right.
We do. Yeah, that actually would be fun. I bet you Jason's pretty spot on that Cincinnati would be 5, 6, 7 spots in aggregate ahead of the other 3, and then it'd be some jambalaya with the Steelers in 4th, and then Ravens and Browns, depending on by a fraction of a hair. slightly ahead in that 10 to 15 range.
My guess is the Bengals would be between 3 and 5. The Browns would be between 8 and 10. The Ravens would be between 8 and 10. And the Steelers would be between 11 and 13. That's my guess.
And what other division would have 4 teams in the top half?
Yeah, I mean, there's no bad team in this division.
No whatsoever.
I mean, I don't know. The AFC East is pretty good too, but top to bottom, the AFC North is better.
Is it the best? I think it's the best division of football. Am I missing one?
Let's see. The AFC East has no bad team either. I don't love the Patriots, but they're not bad.
No, but I like the North teams better than the East teams.
Right. And then let's see. The AFC
if you
South
believe
stinks.
in Russell Wilson, then you can make a quasi case that
but
the AFC West.
I
don't like the Raiders.
The Raiders
I don't like the Raiders or the Broncos.
The Raiders and Broncos are big question marks. The NFC East, the Giants, I think they're going to go backwards this year, in my opinion.
And the Commanders.
Cowboys are good. Commanders stink. Eagles are obviously very good.
The North is better. I think the North is better still.
Oh, yeah. What about the NFC West? The Niners are excellent. The Seahawks, I think they go backwards. The Cardinals stink.
The Cardinals are the worst team in football, so that automatically erases
the AFC North is definitely the best.
Yeah.
Because, let's line it up with the East. Bengals, Bills, that's even. I would take the Bengals slightly. Maybe I'm biased. What do you guys think? Bengals, Bills, who you take?
It's pretty close.
I'm taking the Bengals.
It's pretty even. You guys think? All right.
I would take the Bengals.
Second best team based on last year would be the Ravens against the
Dolphins.
The Dolphins. I mean,
I'd take the Dolphins.
I'd probably take the Dolphins too. But again, I was going to say I'm worried about Tua, but I'm worried about Lamar's injuries too. So
I would take the Ravens just on the strength. I think they got a better defense.
Because I agree. They do have a better defense.
There's unknown variables on the offense with both teams.
I mean, I like the Dolphins' wide receiving core a lot more, but I don't like their running back situation. They don't have any good running backs. It's close. I would be with Jason and lean just a hair towards the Dolphins, but it's close. Then we'll go. Let's say Browns against the Jets.
We'll find out week 17.
That's also very close.
The Jets won the game last year. We all remember that one.
Right. It's very close.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jets have a lot of good young talent.
Yeah, they do.
You mentioned, I forget who said it.
The quarterbacks are big question marks. Like, last year Aaron Rodgers started to decline. Was that, remember Tom Brady in his last year in New England wasn't quite as good, and then he went to Tampa and he was a superstar again.
Or is this the Russell Wilson
Right.
cliff?
Is Rodgers going off the cliff this year? Because if Rodgers gets back to MVP Rodgers, then the Jets are a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, they are.
Go ahead, Mike.
Who said it earlier that the Browns had the biggest Buster Boom potential?
I did.
Jason
was that Jason?
Yeah.
The Jets have to be right in that conversation too, right?
Jets and Chargers both, I think. Yeah. I think those three teams.
I don't see the Chargers having a low floor. I think the Browns and Jets floors are much lower than the Chargers.
Well,
Probably, but I could see the whole thing unraveling and the coach gets blown out and the whole thing falls apart. But quarterback play, I think they have the most consistent high-bar quarterback of all of them.
If you tell me who do I trust the most going into the season, Justin Herbert, Watson, or Rodgers, not even close.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the playoffs, although Watson's never done anything in the playoffs either. So, I don't know.
I just think San Diego, the LA Chargers.
Yeah.
Very talented roster who hasn't met expectations. They got the quarterback, they got the running back, you got wide receivers, you got playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Their secondary is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
as well.
they choked big time last year.
This is a team that's just like the Browns that you could look at and say, okay, you're not living up to the expectations of your roster. And I guarantee you, if this team don't win a division or this team doesn't make the playoffs or have a deep playoff run, I think changes is going to happen.
It would need to if they don't do anything this year. I mean, he was in danger last year already.
Yeah.
It's actually very close. And then you look at the Patriots versus the Steelers. I'd take the Steelers, but again, it's very close. It's neck and neck between the North and the East. But I would lean towards the the North by a hair.
The AFC is just so much better than the NFC.
Oh, my God.
It's just not even close.
So much better, yeah.
In quarterback play, but also in overall team talent, top to bottom, roster spot 1 through 53.
Yeah, I mean, if the Browns played in the NFC, I'd be like, they're 100% going to make the playoffs this year.
But Mike,
in the AFC, you can't say that.
Mike, more than that, though, I would say the AFC North has the overall coaching edge. If you look at the staffs that's put together here in the AFC North, now I don't know all of the coaches in detail like that with the AFC East, but you look at Harbaugh, you look at Tomlin, you know what you got there. Kevin Stefanski, pretty damn good play caller, still got some things to prove. Zach Taylor has proven to be a competent head coach, even though people wanted his head. You look at some of the assistant coaches, Todd Monken coming off winning some national championships at Georgia. You got Bill Callahan on the offensive line here. So I think that's what gives them the edge, is because they're better coached.
Let's see.
But just thinking out, like, Belichick is the GOAT coach, so he gets the edge. McDermott has been really good in Buffalo. McDaniel just hired Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator. He's as good as it gets on the defensive coordinator spot. Saleh.
That's hard to compare coaches.
It's a lot more proven track record in the AFC North than it is in the AFC East.
Let's move on to the position draft here, Mike. This is Jason's favorite topic. He loves this.
Steve, who are we taking?
And with the number 1 pick,
Go ahead,
we have to determine the order.
Okay.
And with Steve as my witness, Steve, I'll turn the camera to you. Steve as my witness. Steve, true or false? I have a list randomizer with 3 people: Bull, Earl, and Jason on this list, and I'm going to hit again to randomize this list to determine the draft order. He can confirm. Are you guys ready? Can I get a drum roll, please, Earl? Click the button. And the results.
Earl the Pearl.
With the first pick. And this actually pisses me off because he's the one person I didn't want to have the first pick.
Earl the Pearl.
Don't tell me it's me.
It is Bull.
Okay, good. I don't
It
want
is
it.
Bull.
In the bag now, because there's only 7 useful
With the second
position
pick,
groups.
it is Jason. And with the 3rd and 4th pick, as a snake draft works, it is Earl the Pearl. Steve, will you confirm that I'm not making this up? This is the order the list randomizer generated for us.
Were you rooting against me getting the number 1 pick? That's rude.
Well, because you said there was only 7 teams that you
There's
thought
only
were
7
confident, so now
useful
it's
units.
It's playing into the thought process and the seed you planted earlier. So for everyone out there, I asked Earl yesterday. I said, Earl, you're on the panel. I want to make sure you shine today. You come up with a topic. We'll do it. And he said, all right, let's do an AFC position group draft.
So I have you to blame for this crap.
Absolutely.
So how this is going to
Because
work
it's
is you
June.
can pick 1 defensive line room, 1 linebacker room, and 1 defensive back that includes secondary or all secondary cornerbacks and safeties from 1 team in the AFC North. You have to have 1 of each. There are 12 possible picks. 9 will be selected, and I am running tag board while this is happening, so bear with me. But Bull, with the
Now,
first
it's
pick,
close for the top pick.
who are you taking?
It's close for the top pick, but I think I may have to go Homer to get the fans on my side.
Oh, not you. Wait a minute.
I never go Homer.
Can't teach a new dog old
Wow.
Old
but
dog, new tricks.
I'm going to go Homer because it's close enough. Even though they're really the second choice, I'm going to take them first. I'll go with the Browns secondary because there's only 2 good secondaries really in these 4 teams. 1 team has an okay secondary with some question marks. And, defensive line, most important position, but there's 3 really good defensive lines in this division, so no panic there. So I'm going to go with the Browns secondary to start us off.
Jason.
Even though, well, whatever.
Jay,
I don't even know if the Browns have the best secondary in the division. In fact, PFF has the Ravens 1 spot ahead of the Browns in secondary rankings.
Bull is already
but
disengaging.
I'm
with
going
his
with the
first
fans,
overall
baby.
pick.
Let's go Browns secondary.
Jason,
Who picked the second, Jason? Go ahead.
All right. None of my other strategies have ever worked.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go total wild card.
Yeah.
With the 2nd overall pick.
Yes.
And take Anthony Bennett. No, I'm kidding. I am taking the Ravens linebackers because they are the best group. They're the superior group. And I know linebacker isn't the most important position.
Oh, that's a bold move.
But there's enough depth elsewhere that I'm still going to get good talent coming back
That's
up.
actually a pretty good move. I think there's one other good linebacking group, but I'm going to take them next because probably Earl won't take them. So
Well, since Bull stole my pick, I got back-to-back picks here, right?
You do.
Yeah, you do.
You do, and tag board's frozen right now, so just be prepared.
Tag board
come
is full.
on. So,
Tag board is completely full
UCSS
right now.
chat, come on, man. You rock with your boy. I need all my land-made people out here, man.
Yeah.
With the 3rd pick, I'm
know
going
where this is.
to take the Ravens secondary.
He just took the Ravens second.
He took the Ravens
linebackers.
Ravens
I took
linebackers. Be
linebackers.
better, Bull.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Be better.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens secondary. I like
That's
the
a good
safeties.
pick. It's actually ranked higher in PFF than the Browns. I
we,
shouldn't give that away.
We know what Marlon Humphrey is, so
I'm surprised by that pick, Earl.
I'm going to take that. Then I'm going to turn back around, and I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns defensive line.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Wait, you're taking who?
I'm taking the Browns defensive line.
I thought you took the Browns.
No, I
line.
took
took the
Browns
Browns
secondary.
secondary.
Oh, the secondary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got the Ravens secondary. I got the Browns defensive line.
All right.
All right.
Well, imagine that was on tag board because tag board is locked
Okay.
up on us. Anthony, way to screw it up from Parma.
Jason, you're up.
Well, then you just made my decision easy. I will take the Steelers defensive line with T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward.
Okay, I like that.
Okay.
That worked out kind of the way I wanted it to.
I like
All
that.
right, this is going to be beautiful. I got 2 picks. I'm going I'm doubling up on the only 2 good units left, both on the Bengals. Bengals linebacker, which is, in my opinion and in PFF's opinion, a very close second at linebacker to the Ravens, and a big drop before the Browns and the Steelers. And then the Bengals D-line, which is third clearly, but not far behind the Browns and Steelers. Browns and Steelers are like top 6, and then the Bengals are like 8 or 9 in the league. So I still, even though I got the third defensive line, there's not much of a gap, and yet I have one of the 2 top secondaries and one of the 2 top linebackers, which neither of these guys can say. So I'm going Bengals D-line and Bengals linebackers. There you go. You guys get to pick from the crap that's left. Go ahead, Earl. No other good units remaining. Keep that in mind, folks.
So what do I need? I need defensive backs.
Oh, Jason's up. That's right.
Yeah, you need defensive backs.
You got to
Jason
take
needs defensive backs.
either the Bengals or the Steelers defensive backs.
Oh, my God. I don't know, Steve. What do you want? What do you think?
I can tell you which one's better, but I guess I should.
Steve does not have an answer for you. This
Steve, you got to bail me out, man. I never win this thing. I need some help. Can we poll the audience? Who does the chat want me to take?
Let's see what the chat says.
Maybe I can win one of these if I listen to the chat.
The first answer in the chat, I'm making it official for you. It's on a 30-second delay, so remember, this is just 30 seconds of dead air that the people will then see later.
I will tell you the Bengals secondary is at least
I was leaning
middle
Bengals.
of the pack.
I was leaning
Steelers
Bengals.
secondary sucks.
I was leaning Bengals.
I think you should probably go down.
Just
Still
give me the
nothing,
Bengals.
Jason.
Just
They-
give me the Bengals.
He's taking the Bengals. All right, Earl.
Taking the
Which
Bengals.
crappy linebacker group?
I'm
you
going to
want?
go ahead and take the Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker.
Wow, over the Browns.
Yeah, Alex Highsmith, man. He's a
He's
dog
a
out
D
there.
lineman.
Yeah,
They
he
got
counts
him
as-
listed as a linebacker.
He's a.
PFF has him as a D lineman.
Well, I'm looking at
All right.
ESPN. They got him as a linebacker. So I think my team is better than yours, personally.
All right, this is easy.
Yeah, it is.
Chat.
Who won?
Who is the only one that has 3 good units? Mine. That's it.
Earl the Pearl. They know who it is.
You have shitty linebackers. The Steelers linebackers suck. The Bengals secondary's
We're
I
putting
got-
up the YouTube poll as we speak.
I mean, I easily got the best team. I don't
know
ended up
about
with-
that,
Well,
man.
you say that every time.
You know, I
never
got the
win.
Browns defensive line.
All right. The
got-
Bengals defensive line, Browns defensive line is basically a wash. I'll give the Browns an edge, but not by much.
Okay, secondary. You got the
Secondary,
Browns.
Browns and Ravens, that's basically a wash. But I got the Bengals linebackers, and you got the Steelers. The Bengals are way better at
Listen,
linebacker.
I've got the Steelers front 4 and the Ravens linebackers. I don't need a secondary.
But we gonna throw all over your team.
Quarterback's gonna be on the ground as soon as he takes the snap.
We throwing all over your
no,
team,
he's
man.
gonna be on the ground.
The Steelers front defensive line is not really any better than the Ravens or the Bengals. Or the Bengals or the Browns.
TJ Watt and Cam Hayward.
Yeah, Cam Hayward's getting old. He's getting old. He's getting
You're
old.
gonna 2 Hall of Famers.
Let's go. I got the Browns. If you gave me the Bengals front 7 with the Browns DBs, I'm winning the Super Bowl.
Listen, run them
We're
votes
giving this
up.
30 seconds more on the
Earl
poll.
the
by
Pearl,
way.
run these votes up. Y'all know what it is.
Folks, Earl didn't know what the hell he was doing. He doesn't even know he's playing linebacker. for the Steelers.
Listen, Alex Highsmith
And now
was
he's
a
calling
linebacker.
Alex Smith. He's a busted up
Listen,
quarterback. Who can't
I'm a
block anything.
producer.
You're gonna put him at linebacker?
I'm a producer by trade. I do these stats all the time. He's a
lost.
linebacker.
He's a defensive lineman. They don't even know.
All right, I'm
what's going on.
stopping the poll because I
Go
like these answers.
Go ahead.
In third place with 18% of the vote, Adam the Bull.
Yes! What?
Let's go.
Second place
We
with
have the
30%
dumbest
of the
fans
vote,
ever.
Jason Lloyd.
Oh
And
God!
with 52% of the vote,
Bring it home.
Earl the Pearl for the dub.
Steve, put that camera out.
You
I want to
see-
thank my mama for having me. You know, I want to thank Steve Becker for putting me out here on the panel. I want to thank these, worthy contestants. But, I came through. I did what I had to do.
You know what I realized is that our fans have now decided that the Browns have a Hall of Fame defensive line.
I just made it.
They have so overrated our defensive line.
That's not what it is.
That they think there's a big gap, and maybe they like Earl. They just want to root for
They
Earl
just
as
like
the
Earl.
underdog.
That's all.
think
I
that's
think they
it.
just like
I'm
Earl.
the
I
up
think
and
it's-
coming
I think
man of
that's
the
it.
people, man.
He is the up and coming. You can't steal G. Bush's line.
Well,
What are
G.
you
Bush is the older. He's on the backside of his career.
I mean,
He's on
what are
the
you talking
backside of
about?
his career.
You're only like 5 years younger than him.
You're sending G to the glue factory.
Oh,
No,
my
here's the thing.
God.
I'm 5 years younger, but
We
he's
need a
12
headline. Earl crushes G. Bush.
He's 12 years in the game. G, I know you watching, man.
Oh, my
You know,
God. You just threw G
I'm
under
like
the
the
bus.
BET on the Source up and coming artist. There
Damn.
it is, man. The fans love me, man.
Go ahead, Mike. Good for you.
The poll was brought to us by PCC, but I want to read a couple comments
Yeah.
from the YouTube chat. as we're going through. Whenever we do that, it's brought to us by PCC Airfoils. You're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. I'm trying to change the monitors and read and hit the button to talk all at the same time.
I bet you most of our fans think Dalvin Tomlinson's the best defensive tackle in the division.
That's not true.
Well, wait. I want to read a couple chats real quick. Joel Ward says, I was so close to getting my first UCSS shout out. Well, Joel, there you go. Spencer Dyke says Jason has the best team. Roberto Presente said Bull got 0. KR Thunder said, who wants the Bengals to win? Vomit.
See, that was
Tom
it.
DePore says everyone knows the Steelers run a 3-4 bowl.
Yeah,
Be better,
bad job
Bull.
out of you.
Brown
PFF
secondary
listed
first
Alonzo
overall is
Highsmith as defensive
questionable.
line. I don't give a
Alonzo
crap.
Highsmith.
Whatever.
So we got Alex Smith playing linebacker and
Alonzo
Alonzo Smith.
Highsmith.
My God, this team's old.
Whatever. Go ahead. Read more, Mike.
Cody Clark says we're going to have to get Earl a new set of knees if he wants to be the people's champ. Evan 419 said Mikey McMultitask. That's impressive.
That's it.
There's like 4 things back here. Chris K says go Earl. And yeah, the Duke of G's.
Wow.
Is what KR
All
Thunder
right.
said. So
I should have just taken all Browns. Would I have won if I would have taken all Browns? Or would they still have voted for
You
Earl?
couldn't have taken all Browns because we would have mucked that up.
Yeah,
we
that's
weren't
true.
going to let you do that.
That's true.
No.
okay, we have a few minutes before the next topic was supposed to start, but I did see something I want to bring up here because Earl, I don't think you've had a chance to speak on this, and I know Jason, you're probably tired of speaking on it, but Bull, this is something that you are pretty passionate about. But Sal Palantonio was on ESPN Radio this morning and said the Browns are still right in the thick of it for DeAndre Hopkins. Do you buy that even the slightest? And I don't have any tag board, I don't have any graphics. This came across my timeline a second ago. You do buy that?
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
I think I said when this started, the longer this goes, the more I would like the Browns'
This would be a
chances.
huge move for the Browns.
I never felt the Browns were not in the discussion.
We're
long
getting
time.
to the point now
Yeah.
where, I
His
think
price is coming down.
I think it becomes a more logical type of connection now.
I think I've been saying all along, I think, the Browns wide receivers are better, but a lot of it's projection. They have one, get excited as you want, Browns have one proven wide receiver. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Give me some badab because we about to go there. So the first time I ever was on as a panel, I stated this.
Yeah.
I think that Amari Cooper is a proven thing, but outside of Amari Cooper, it's a bunch of potential.
Yeah,
If something
that's
was
right.
to happen to Amari Cooper, do you really trust Elijah Moore and DPJ as your 1 and 2?
Definitely not.
No.
We know Tillman. We know Tillman is a rookie.
Yeah.
Marquise Goodwin, he has the speed, but he's a veteran, and I'm not expecting too much out of him. I think if you add DeAndre Hopkins, it solidifies this group as the second best group in the AFC North behind the Cincinnati Bengals, without question. You want to be able to give your $230 million quarterback that you've invested so many resources in every weapon to his disposal. We just talked about in the first segment how there's no excuses. And we've already understand that the Browns are all in based on every move that they've already made. And so I really felt like the Browns are always in the mix, regardless of what the media outlets were saying. I just feel like it's a perfect fit for DeAndre Hopkins and for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I hope so, Jason. What do you think?
It kind of, I don't want to use this comparison, but I will anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect fit, but it kind of feels like the Jadeveon Clowney thing. Now, Jadeveon is different because he chose to come late. He wanted to do that every year.
Yeah.
But just in terms of that veteran who's been around, and I wasn't, that's why I don't like the comparison because I didn't love the Clowney signing even the first time around. But just that veteran who sort of falls through the cracks, who the number gets to be at the right point. Remember, Hopkins visited the Titans, and Vrabel made it very clear, listen, I'm past recruiting. I'm not coaching college anymore. You want to come here. It felt to me when Vrabel said that, it was like, listen, you want to come here? Here's our number. We're not getting a bidding war over you. We're not going to woo you. If you want this, take it. If not, leave it and go somewhere else. And I just get the sense that's how a lot of the teams around the league are viewing this Hopkins thing. So I'll say what I said when this started. The longer it goes, and now here we are into the end of June, I think the better the odds that he does land here.
Would you, if the Browns did sign Hopkins, would you trade Donovan Peoples-Jones?
I would, yeah. Because I don't think he's coming back anyway.
I think it depends what you could get for him. Ultimately.
You're not going to get a ton.
Although, this was stupid. They shouldn't have done it. But remember, the Bears gave up a second-round pick for Chase Claypool.
Yeah, but Claypool had more of a track record than DPJ.
Does he?
He was a higher pick, more high profile.
No, he was not a high pick.
Claypool? He was like
He was a second-round pick.
Yeah, second or third round
So
pick.
I agree with you to that point, but I do think between the two players, I think DPJ is the better player. I don't see the Browns. If the Browns was to trade him, you'll probably get, a fourth-round pick back, which is
fourth or fifth.
Fourth or fifth.
Then I wouldn't do it. I'm not trading him for a fifth-round pick. I just let him walk at the end of the next year. What's the point? I don't need that fifth-round pick. I'd rather have the depth. Now, if I could trade DPJ for a linebacker or another position that I could
maybe
use,
you can.
Maybe I would do that.
That could be.
I don't want to trade him for a late-round pick. I'd rather keep him as a depth wide receiver, but it gives you some options because you don't really. DPJ had a nice season, and he's a nice player, but you don't need him if you get DeAndre Hopkins because Elijah Moore, you sign and you have for a number of years. You have obviously the kid you drafted this year. I still don't think they're going to cut David Bell. Maybe if they bring in Hopkins,
they're not cutting David Bell.
But
in year two, after they held on, I understand they made.
I don't think Marquise Goodwin is 100% on this team.
No, I don't either.
I don't.
What has he done?
I mean, everybody's like, well, speed, but he's never done anything.
I mean, we're going way down the rabbit hole now.
Yeah.
But the DPJ, the reason I would trade him is you want to maximize the value of the asset, and if you're not going to bring him back next year, if he's not going to be here next year anyway, if you do get someone like Hopkins,
right?
Why lose him for nothing? The good teams find ways to maximize the value of these guys. And that is a fourth or fifth round pick that valuable, not on its own merit, but it could be bundled with something in the future to move up and down a board.
So I think when you look at it, right, we look at the Browns linebacker core, and I think we all kind of scratch our head of how do they view the linebacker position, what type of linebacker are they looking for. If I was to trade DPJ for a linebacker, I would look to Arizona and probably try to see if I can get Isaiah Simmons. I think the way
he's moved to the secondary. They're playing him at safety, I think, this year, right?
He's moving to safety this year.
Yeah.
So he's like one of those hybrid guys.
To me, he's like DP. He's like
Jock, right?
He's like what?
Jock. Jeremiah Owusu.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't really want two of those guys. I don't really like the one we have. I get what you're saying, but I mean, Arizona's a team that you would want to. I don't know if they have any other linebackers.
I don't think, and this is.
I don't think Isaiah Simmons.
We've mentioned Simmons before, and whenever we throw hypotheticals out there, and Earl, I like the idea. I think Simmons would be a good addition to this Browns team.
I just think JOK and Simmons on the same team doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I also don't think the Cardinals want anyone who's competent on their roster this year.
Yeah, what would they're not trading for. What's the point of them trading for DPJ when they're not playing to win? He's going to be a free agent.
I feel like even if they're not playing to win, you got to build with something. He'll be a free agent. Maybe he's a guy that they might want to sign.
Yeah, but they could sign him anyway because he's going to be a free agent next year. I don't see. To me, you look at a team that's good but could use some help at wide receiver.
Like the Patriots or something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
they're in the Hopkins.
I'm thinking more NFC maybe, but I guess.
I'm just throwing out teams. I'm not saying it's realistic.
Yeah.
I'm just a team that could.
I mean, maybe the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
What's their linebacker situation? I don't know, but and it doesn't even have to be a linebacker. Maybe it's another defensive tackle. Because let's face it, the Browns don't have anything proven at defensive tackle except for Tomlinson. The rest of the guys are all crapshoots.
Yeah.
Maybe it's probably. I guess probably not. I was thinking a veteran running back, but I doubt they would do that. Who knows? Maybe it's an offensive lineman they like. I'm not sure, but if I'm going to trade him, I trade him for a position.
I can see that being an offensive lineman because you're paying at two guards $14 million a year, and exactly how much longer are you going to be able to do that?
They're going to move on from was Wyatt Teller a free agent at the end of this year?
He has 2 years left.
Oh, he's 2 years left? They could probably get out of his contract after this year.
Yeah, I don't know what the dead cap money is.
If Wyatt Teller doesn't get back up to that top-line standard, then they'll cut him after this year, I think.
Probably.
And move on. So, there's options. I don't think you have to trade DPJ, and, it's not a bad thing to have good depth at wide receiver.
Certainly not.
But if I'm going to trade him, I'd rather trade him for a player than a pick.
Teller has 2 years left after this year.
Yeah.
And it'd be a total dead cap hit of $11 million if they cut him after this year.
So it's 2 years left after this year.
2 years. He's under contract
so they probably
through
can't get out of that for
2025.
another
year. Well, I still think this is a really big year for him.
Yeah, sure. Right, he had that great year, and he's been injury prone, and as even though Pedonio's older, I'm not moving on from him.
No,
he's the
not
best
at all.
He may be the best guard in the league. So I think
he
certainly top
retires
2 or
here.
3. Yeah, I don't want to see. It would be good to see him retire here, no doubt. All right, so there you go, Mikey.
That was good. No, it came across. It's worth talking about, and I do think Hopkins is a guy who we'd all be excited if he ends up here in Cleveland. He would give them at least another guy, to Earl's point, a proven guy on the outside to work with Deshaun Watson.
We don't know. Like, Donovan Peoples-Jones is a third receiver in my mind.
Agreed.
That's what he is. Like, Elijah Moore, could he be better than a third receiver? Maybe. He was, as you guys said, drafted high, excellent athlete, but he did nothing with the Jets. Okay, and you can say, well, they had bad quarterbacks. Well, Garrett Wilson had a great year last year.
Yeah, he did.
You know?
Yeah, he did.
Elijah Moore was pouting in the background because he wasn't playing enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a reason he didn't play enough. I don't know. I like him. I think he's got potential, but it's potential.
Yeah.
And the other guys are total wild cards. DeAndre Hopkins may not be at the top of his game anymore, but he's not that far off of it. If you look at a per-game basis, he still played at a pretty high level last year. And by the way, I think all the games he missed last year were due to suspension, not injury.
I mean, to your point, though, Garrett Wilson won Offensive Rookie of the Year with no quarterback. And when I made the argument, adding DeAndre Hopkins earlier this month, the pushback I was getting was, well, DPJ hasn't reached his ceiling yet. He's never had competent quarterback play. My counter argument to that is we all watched Josh Gordon, ball out, and the Browns have never pretty much had competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
So I think if you're that dude at wide receiver, you're that dude, and it doesn't matter who's throwing you the football.
To some degree, yeah. I mean, I think the Josh Gordon thing was pretty unique in a weird way. And, yeah, I mean, a wide receiver is going to put up generally better numbers with a great quarterback than a decent quarterback than a bad quarterback. But in general, I agree with your point. You know who the great wide receivers are. And nowadays, they hit pretty quickly. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a perfectly nice wide receiver. There's nothing wrong with him.
He's for the value of the 6th-round pick. It's a home run.
But I think he's about at his ceiling. I think maybe there's another level, but I agree with Earl. I think he's at his ceiling, which is nothing wrong with that. He's a nice NFL player. He's going to be in the league a while.
NFL player, yes.
If a guy can get 600 to 700 yards a year, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and he's a 6th-round pick, and we all think he's a third wide receiver,
that's a home run.
But I'm not paying that guy $10 million a year.
Not at all.
I'm not interested in giving him a long-term contract. I don't know what he's hoping to get, but I'm not interested in it. Mike, what do we got next? What do you got next for us?
Well, we're going to talk a little baseball in a sec.
Yeah.
And we got a couple baseball topics we're going to tackle today before we talk a little Cavs, and we'll wrap up with something fun. But we are 2 minutes away from noon.
Yeah.
And as you guys know, we're just going to do it a little early. It is officially the extended version by 2 minutes of the lunch hour of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And as always, the lunch hour of UCSS is brought to us by Calling Companies Championship. You can check out all your favorite senior tour golfers at the famous Firestone Country Club July 12th through the 16th. It is fun, family-friendly events for everybody. Free concerts each night. Kids get in free. Check them out. All your information for tickets, information, dates, etc. at callinggolf.com.
Jason, did you see? I actually did 3 different similar rants on the Guardians. One on Twitter, one on the show yesterday, and one on my podcast. Did you happen to see or hear any of them?
I tried following your Twitter one, but it was an old man rant that was all broken up.
I forgot.
I have ADD, and I couldn't make it.
I screwed up and didn't make it a chain or whatever the hell it's called.
Right.
I did one today. Did a 2-part one on Howard Stern today that I actually did right.
I saw a little bit of that one.
You a Howard Stern fan?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
The one yesterday was beautiful. I thought it was very articulated.
Well, but it was too many. I screwed it up the way I put it on Twitter. But thank you.
Yeah, you articulated it very well. Everybody know I'm a casual baseball fan. So when I can sit here with guys like you and understand what you're saying and get educated on it, I thought it was dope. And I thought you made a lot of sense to what you were saying. So,
thank you.
No problem.
And my point was, the overall point is that, like, too often when you're critical of a franchise, these days with social media, right, nobody has any room for nuance. You either suck or you're great.
Yes.
Like, there's no in between.
And most of life is nuance.
Exactly. It's everything. It's even in politics. Like the loudmouths on the left and right suck up all the air in the room, and most of us are more closer to the middle. Even myself, believe it or not. But when it comes to the Guardians, it's like there's a lot of good things about this organization. I get it. And when I went on this rant, I felt like I had to qualify that because you could say 100 good things about a team. You say one bad thing, and it's like, you hate them. You're a hater. And the point is, like, they've made some really, to me, critical errors the last couple of years. One, this buildup of minor league talent that they have not used. Like, for years, they've used that to advantage. They've traded guys. A lot of times they traded guys that were flops, right? You look at Frazier. You look at Zimmer. You look at, what's the pitcher? He's still in the big leagues. He's a reliever, but he's hurt.
Oh, the lefty. I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Sheffield. Justice Sheffield.
Well, yes, but I wasn't even thinking of him. No. He had one good year as a reliever for the Padres. They traded him in the that doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll think of it later. But the Guardians, but now, the farm system's all backed up. A lot of the top prospects that have come up haven't done anything. Again, way too small a sample size. But Arias hasn't done much. Freeman hasn't done much. Naylor has, barely been up, but he hasn't done much. Meanwhile, Nolan Jones has played well. Will Benson, who's huge. They didn't really give Will Benson or
Nolan Jones
a chance. Those guys never got a chance, and they got to the point where we kind of got to trade them for almost nothing because we got to create 40-man roster spots. And the fact that they haven't made the trade to break up some of that glut has been a huge mistake. The bargain basement shopping on Zunino and Bell, which the Bell one especially I liked, and it's been really bad. It's backfired on them the last couple of years in the way, and now the team is in this place where they have all this good young pitching, and Ramirez and Jimenez and Naylor, who are really good, and this great closer, and then they have all these gaping holes that it feels like they can't fill, and it's frustrating.
So I listened to you talk yesterday, and for whatever reason, it stayed on my mind, and I got to thinking, and either one of you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but when I look at the Guardians, I know enough to know that we've always been able to identify and acquire talent via the draft, right? The farm system is great, but I can remember as a kid watching baseball experts go crazy when they could have traded Jared Wright and got back Pedro, and they didn't do it out of the fear of Jared Wright developing into this superstar, right? A couple years ago, I remember Sean Murphy being kicked around as a name that can be a bat that can help the Guardians, and they didn't want to give away some of the prospects that they had because they didn't want those guys to develop elsewhere. It just seems like to me, as a casual fan, sometimes they're banking on these guys fulfilling their potential and operating out of fear of trading these prospects for a bat right now, and I don't think you can operate.
That is fair to some degree. Now, we don't know what the A's wanted. Maybe they wanted all their good young pitching, and the Guardians have developed. They almost never get it wrong at pitcher, almost never.
Right.
But they don't get it right very often at hitter.
No, they haven't.
Most of their young hitters have not panned out, and Kwan's gone backwards this year. Oscar Gonzalez went backwards this year. Will Brennan is, he's okay.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me right now because this division is the worst division ever, and they should be dominating.
Yeah, it's right there for the taking. And we talked about it before. I think they need two bats, minimum.
Absolutely.
They need two outfield bats, really.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it this year, but we talked before. Pick one of the three that you got now, and that's your center fielder. All three of them can play center field.
Pick one of them. It can't be Straw because he can't hit. At this point, we can't keep doing what's
no. That's fine.
He's got to be a bench player.
And I was hesitant to move Kwan off of left because you won a freaking Gold Glove in left field. You kind of want to leave that there. But the way that he's regressed this year is kind of a little bit alarming and concerning. And is it just the typical standard regression, and then they take that leap in year 3? Well, that's what they have to figure out. But you've got to find power either on the trade market. George Valera, I know we just talked about their hitters haven't really panned out. Valera is a name that's been floating around in this organization for, probably 4 years.
Right.
And he's now healthy and on the cusp. He's a AAA. If had he been healthy at the start of the year, he probably would have been here by now, and that's an option. You mentioned Nolan Jones. I think that they just felt like he was too much of a duplicate of Josh Naylor. They already had a lefty-hitting, slugging guy at that spot. When Ramirez signs long-term, that takes up third base. You've got Naylor at first. Can Nolan Jones really play the outfield? I don't know.
Yeah, but to me, Naylor's a DH. He's not a first baseman. You could have played Nolan Jones at first base.
Okay, but now you've just doubled. Now, and in fairness, Nolan hadn't really shown that he could hit lefties either.
And it's not enough.
So they're a duplicate.
Right.
And they're a duplicate of each other.
Right.
And the prospect that they got back, I know people roll their eyes and get sick of hearing it, really fits what they're looking for. Juan Brito is, I know.
I know. I can't take it anymore.
But I'm just saying, he fits their profile
but
exactly.
Eventually it's got to be guys that have proven it. I screamed for months about trading for Brian Reynolds. How good a fit is he on this team?
Yeah, he is.
I mean, come on, I'm not even asking for guys to hit 40. Can we have some guys that hit 20?
Yeah.
Even Naylor is good at using, is not even on pace for 20. Ramirez is the only guy on the team on pace for 20 home runs. They have half the team's not going to hit double digits. You can't have that. You can't win that. What do they got, 50 home runs, Mike?
Give me 1 sec, but I believe it is 50. That's the number.
It's funny, as I'm hearing you all have this conversation, I can remember when Bobby Bradley came up, and I thought that would finally be the power back in the Guardians and the lineup. And then, Mike knows this. I was huge on Oscar Gonzalez coming into the season of being that power back. And to your point, they can't seem to develop the bats.
No.
So I guess this is more of a question for you all. Yeah. If they can consistently get it right with pitching, then why are they so scared to trade away some of their pitching for a proven bat if you know that you can't draft one?
Here's why. So they had 3 top prospects, Espino, Williams, and Bybee. Espino is now damaged and may never be what he was. Years. So what if they had traded Williams and then Espino gets hurt?
Right.
Like, it's hard when you've got 2 or 3. It's really hard to pick because if you get they're not all going to work. They're not all going to work out. And if you pick the wrong one to trade and then you stick with the one that busts, you've really set yourself back.
I get why they didn't want to trade Williams and Bybee. I get that because you know Bieber's gone.
Yes.
If it's either this year or at the end of this year, he's gone.
Yes.
You got to replace him. Same as we're worried about McKenzie, they're worried about McKenzie.
Absolutely.
He's built like a string bean. Guys that are built that way often have injuries. It's just the way it is. He's a tremendous talent, but that may just be part of him every year, that he's going to be dealing with injuries. It was in the minors, and it's been this way this year. He stayed healthy last year, but I don't think we can rely on that. Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee are more prototypical built pitchers. They're bigger, stronger guys. They're not massive, but they're not built like him.
Gavin Williams is massive.
Yeah, well, it's true. Gavin Williams is massive, yeah. Bybee's pretty big, too, but not massive. But the potential of this rotation, like next year, Williams, Bybee, Allen, and McKenzie could be a damn good rotation. Hopefully, McKenzie doesn't need Tommy John surgery because he's going to miss next year too if that happens. But in terms of the minor league, in terms of like Arias, Freeman, Rocchio, Valera, like Naylor, in the right deal, I'm willing to trade any of those guys.
Yeah.
Now the problem is some of them have lost value. At least a little bit.
Arias has probably lost a little bit of value.
Arias has definitely lost some value.
But I still think that's who their guy's going to be at short. I still think that's their opening day shortstop next year.
You know what? Then let's. I just want to. If we're going to go with Naylor and Arias, then just play them every day at their positions. And by the way, at this point, just call back up Oscar Gonzalez. He's played better at AAA.
He had a cycle the other day.
What are we doing? Did you see the tweet I put up about? Put that tweet about the Guardians outfield, their home runs.
I don't
RBI.
have the tweet and tag
I
frozen,
remember.
But I'll tell you, it's 820 at bats.
820, not at bats, plate appearances.
Plate appearances, excuse me.
58 RBI.
6 homers, 58 RBIs from those 3 guys. I mean, that is. Jay said to me yesterday, "Do you think that's the lowest ever?" I said, "Probably, at least since the dead ball era."
Yeah.
3 guys with 6 home runs total in the outfield. Like you can't win. And it was 50 home runs. Guardians had 50 home runs, right? And they played 77 games?
77 games.
I mean, they're averaging
37 and 40 and a 50 home runs.
Did any team hit under 100 home runs last year?
For the entire season?
I don't think so.
I'll tell you right now.
Like they might end up with under 100 home runs.
The lowest total last year was 110 by the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, the Tigers were like one of the worst teams in day. If you look at the teams, like what the Guardians did last year was an anomaly to be as good as they were with no power.
They had 127 last year, which was 29th.
Right. And
they're 30th
they're not going to hit that many.
They've gone back.
Now, you'd think their pace would be a little better in the second half. But if I said they're not going to hit 100 home runs this year, I mean, they might not. I mean, they're on pace for probably like 105
Yeah,
right
they'll
now.
get to 100. They'll get to 100.
They should.
But it won't be until late.
But the fact that you're not sure about that is insane.
Yeah.
Like, you can't – you got to average it, I would say, at least close to a home run per game.
They're on pace for 116, by the way.
Right. Oh, 116.
Oh, wait. No, I did my math. Hold on.
No, that's wrong. It's got to be like 105.
No.
105 on the dot. 105.19.
We're only 4 games away from the halfway point.
Yeah, 105.
I mean, that's – again, think about this. Barry Bonds hit, 39 by the All-Star break in 2001 by himself, I think?
I mean, Judge last year.
Don't Ohtani got half the home runs by himself?
Ohtani's got
the Guardians
26 home runs, I believe, already.
Someone said he's having arguably the greatest season in the history of baseball this year.
Doesn't he do that every year?
But this year is his. He's batting .297, has 26 home runs, which leads the majors, 62 RBIs. In the pitching category,
he's got double-digit stolen bases.
Yes, he also leads the league in strikeouts. Is the Angels' team leader in wins? Is a 3.13 ERA. His WHIP is barely over 1, and his pitching WAR, just his pitching WAR, is 2.4.
Yeah, he's a top 5 pitcher. He might win the Cy Young and the MVP.
He has a 5.6 WAR before the All-Star.
Yeah, I mean, MVP this year for him, like Aaron Judge had to have one of the greatest offensive seasons in the history of the game last year to beat Ohtani for the MVP. And
what
Ohtani
if he won the MVP and the Cy Young? That's unbelievable.
He could. I mean, Garrett Cole's having a great year. Shane McClanahan again. This guy's been the best pitcher in baseball the last 2 years. He got hurt again, though. He got it back. He left his last game, but I think he's okay. Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
So I did send you guys a Guardians topic, and it was not this, and we have a little time, so let's get to that. The AL, obviously, we'll go forward real quick, but fan votes determine the starters in the All-Star game.
Oh.
And did you spill on yourself, Bull?
I just spilled water all over myself. Yeah, not too bad. Hopefully, didn't get on the mic too bad.
Yeah, that's what I was. Your shirt, I'm not worried about.
Yeah,
as
not
long
worried
as the
about
mic's
my shirt.
okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so you can vote for anybody, any position. They whittle it down to finalists, and no Guardians made the finalists in the American League to be voted as an All-Star starter.
Which is not surprising.
Not
because
surprising.
A lot of fans, even our fans, and our fans have no right to complain because our fans are big homers. We have a higher percentage of homer fans in Cleveland than probably most cities.
Oh, I think they're all insufferable homers in every market.
Yes, but
you mean to tell me the Red Sox and Yankees and come on, Phillies?
All right, let me correct myself. There's higher percentage of homers in Cleveland because Cleveland is probably the least transient big city in America,
Well,
one of the least transient.
All right.
Detroit. That's what I'm saying.
There's some truth to what you're saying.
I'm not saying Yankee fans are just as big of homers as Guardians fans, but people in New York, there's many more people that root for other teams besides the Yankees or the Mets. When I vote for the All-Star game, I don't vote. Like when I see the Guardians and other teams put out, like, vote for all our players. No, I'm not voting for Ahmed Rosario and Miles Straw for All-Star. You're a lame ass if you do that. The only time I ever consider the team, Guardians and the Cubs, when I vote, is if I think it's a tie, or essentially a tie. Then I'll pick a player I like better. Otherwise, I pick the best player at the position. In terms of snubs, you're going to get snubbed. The Guardians don't have a huge fan base. In my opinion, Jose should have been a top 2 finisher at third base. As good a year as Naylor's having, I don't think he's a top. I don't think he got snubbed from being up there.
I believe he's leading all first basemen in RBIs.
That is correct.
So on that,
oh my God! I just had a major brain fart when I was looking at like WAR leaders by position.
Yeah.
For some reason, with Naylor, I put outfield. I don't know why I did
back
that.
A few years.
I have no idea why I did that.
Yeah, no,
So maybe Naylor got.
The snub thing to me is hard because if you put Naylor there and you take out Vladdy,
you can't take out Vladdy.
Okay, you put Naylor there and you take out Yandy. Yandy Diaz is having a fantastic year. So now you're saying Yandy got snubbed. So it's really hard to say that there's necessarily a snub, but. For me, it's third base and Jose because Matt Chapman's numbers compared to Jose, it's not even close.
No. Yeah, third base is the snub. Even though I screwed up and looked at outfielders, he didn't get snubbed.
I mean, look
at
that. Look at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. For me, it was Jose Ramirez. I mean, he has more RBIs than Chapman. He has the highest batting average of any third baseman in the American League. The highest OPS of any third baseman in the American League.
And the highest WAR.
Yeah, highest WAR, didn't know that. But he's second in AL in batting average with runners in scoring position, and he's top 5 in home runs. So to me, if there was a quote-unquote snub, it would be Jose Ramirez.
I think they both have a chance to go to the All-Star game. Who's the third? Who would be the third? Who would finish third in the MVP, the All-Star voting at first base?
Give me 1 sec.
I mean, Yandy and Vladdy are going.
Yes,
they both belong. And I put them both over. It's interesting that that Yandy has less RBIs significantly than Naylor, and yet Yandy has a significantly better OPS.
Well, I think he's not really in a run-producing spot in their lineup.
Right.
So I think that probably has a lot to do with it. I haven't looked at the Rays. He used to.
You wanted first base? Sorry.
Yeah, first base. Who's third?
Third is
Turner.
Anthony
Turner?
Rizzo, then Nathaniel Lowe, then Ty France, then Jose Abreu, then Jared Walsh, then Ryan Mountcastle, Josh Naylor finished.
Jared Walsh is in the minors. Jose Abreu has a lower OPS than even Miles Straw.
He's one of the worst players in baseball.
Anthony Rizzo's not having a great year.
Ty France has been good in Seattle.
Ty France is who'd you say before Rizzo?
Nathaniel Lowe.
He's not having a good year, is he?
The Rangers are good. They got a lot of votes, but
yeah,
I don't think he's having a particularly
Rizzo's
great
going to
year.
get there because of the Yankees.
I mean, the third base thing, it's laughable. And Toronto's massive. Like, it's a massive city.
We know that because of votes.
Yeah.
Jose's going to be on the team.
Is he? Are we sure?
Well, who else you got at third base?
Is it Josh?
Devers?
What's his name? Josh Jung?
Rafael Devers?
He's a young player.
Josh Young's a rookie.
Yeah.
He's having a decent year. Devers, Bregman, Isaac Paredes of the Rays. Not a lot of third basemen.
I mean, I hope Jose's on. I still think there's a chance. Guardians are only getting one. I think it's a very good chance.
Clase is going to be on the team.
And he could be the one.
Yeah, I mean, Naylor and Ramirez are both having all-star caliber seasons.
They are having all-star caliber seasons, but there's limited spots. Everybody's got to have a representative, and they're not having a very good year.
I think Ramirez will get in and Naylor will not. That's my guess.
On reputation alone,
yeah,
Jose may get in.
Right.
And the fact that
I'm going to say Clase and Ramirez get in, Naylor falls short. Now, if there's enough guys that drop out, maybe Naylor gets in too. Mm-hmm. You know, which is what happened. Wasn't that what happened with Jared Allen in the NBA a few years ago?
Yeah.
Guys dropped out and he ended up
It seems in NBA, especially when it's in cold weather cities, guys tend to dip more on All-Star Weekend.
Where's the All-Star game this year? Seattle?
Yes.
It's kind of a nice looking.
Well, no, I'm saying in the NBA.
Yeah, no, I got you. But
MLB, they seem to really
more guys show up. Unless you're hurt. Unless guys are hurt. Well, Aaron Judge is going to get in, and he's not going to be able to play.
He's not playing.
By the way, Aaron Judge, even though he's missed half the season, has 11 more home runs than all the Guardians outfielders combined. And I don't think he's missed half the season, but he's missed a lot.
He's missed a lot. He's been out for a while.
You know, he cashed in big time. Outside of last year, he's never been healthy for a full season.
Well, this year it was that stupid thing on the wall.
But he's had a lot of things like that. Some guys just have bad luck like that for whatever reason. I think we'd all agree that Ramirez, between the two, Ramirez got snubbed. But Naylor's having at minimum a borderline all-star season.
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
He's having a really. Those are two of the few guys that are not the problem on this team. Certainly.
Speaking of guys on the Guardians, Gavin Williams makes his second start in the majors today against Kansas City and their young pitching stud in Brady Singer. He's a little further ahead in the developmental stage than Gavin Williams is. But Williams, you projected 12 strikeouts in his first start.
I was way off.
Did not come true, but he did rebound pretty nicely, and overall I think was a solid first outing. What do you expect in start number 2 for the Guardians top prospect?
So in his first start, he faced a AAA lineup in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't pitch great. But, as Mike said, he did a nice job because he looked like he was going to get knocked out of the game in the inning he gave the 4 runs, which I think was the third.
It was third inning.
When the legendary Ryan Noda hit a 3-run home run. And now he's facing basically another AAA lineup. Yeah, in Kansas City, who's almost as bad as Oakland. So now he's got the jitters gone. Again, I'm saying 12 strikeouts tonight. Let's go, Gavin Williams.
So I told Mike this morning in our pre-production that I felt like, Gavin Williams, number 1 prospect for the Guardians. You remember all the hype videos and all the talk. And for anybody, no matter how good you are, there will be nerves there. I'm with you. I think their nerves are gone. I know enough to know, that 97, 98 mile per hour fastball that we saw, that's legit, and that was without him trying. I've been told that this kid, when he reels back, he can throw it 102.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he had better command of his fastball, I watched his first start, and I thought his off-speed stuff had a lot of movement to it. I think if he could command his fastball early, I think it'll help with his off-speed pitches. I'm going Gavin Williams over 9 strikeouts today.
What is the over? It was 5.5. He didn't go over that. I thought it was a lock, but
it's 5.5 again today.
Go ahead, Jason. What do you got for?
Well, I like that they timed it this way. I don't think it's coincidence that his first 2 starts came against Oakland and Kansas City.
Right.
I think that's I mean, certainly injuries play into that as well. But it lined up nicely for him to be able to start off this way. Earl, you're right. He can throw harder than what he showed. I was a little surprised that he was 97, sitting 97, because he is more of a 99, 100, 101 type guy. So, we should see that. And it sounds insignificant, but it's massively different. Mm-hmm. Even 97 to 100, 101 is a big difference to these guys. And I expect him to be better. I thought Will Brennan made a terrific catch in his first outing that really sort of settled things down a little bit because he was on the ropes. He was getting knocked around a little bit, and then Brennan made that catch, and it just seemed to bring the temperature down in the entire stadium. I was there for that start, and I expect this is he's not going back. Like, this is it.
Right,
he's here to stay, barring something catastrophic. He's here to stay, and it's something to look forward to. It's exciting.
By the way, his third start will be against the Cubs at Wrigley, which will be maybe a little nerve-wracking to pitch at Wrigley Field in your third start, and then his fourth start against the Royals again.
Oh, wow.
So, the Cubs lineup's okay, but
it's set up nicely for him.
Three of his first four starts against the Royals and A's, so that does work out nicely. I'd expect him to pitch well tonight. They need to win. They need to take advantage when they swept Oakland. They had a bad weekend against a mediocre Milwaukee team, and after they play the Royals, they got 6 straight. The Cubs are playing better lately. They've won 11 of their last 14. They're playing much better. Their Cubs pitching has been really good. They're tough at Wrigley. So 6 games in a row against the Cubs and Braves. The Braves are the best team in the National League, maybe the best team in baseball.
And then is the break? Is that going into the break?
No. Then they got Kansas City again after that, and I think that's it. They got a 4-game set here against Kansas City after Atlanta. So they got to go like 6-1. Minimum 5-2 against Kansas. I guess they don't have to because the division's. The Twins are still in first place at 500. They're 40-40.
Yeah.
Has an under 500 team ever been in first place at the All-Star break? I would say no, and they might not be. The Twins still have 2 games they're playing the Braves right now, right?
I think they just wrapped up a series with the Braves.
No, they played them yesterday.
They
play them today.
I know they played last night.
They play them today.
Yeah, series rarely ends on a Monday. That's unusual.
I look at Gavin Williams. I really believe that he's going to be solid tonight. But, for me, I think it's about the Guardians going out there and putting some runs on the board early to kind of help his confidence. And if you pitch him with a lead, I think he'll be okay. I think he's going to be okay regardless. But it would be nice to see the Guardians put some runs out there. It seems like more often than not this year, whenever you have a quality pitching performance, the offense can't seem to back it up. So
that's fair. By the way, here's the Twins' schedule before the All-Star break. So, again, you never know, but I think they'll be under 500 going into the All-Star break. Jason, they got 2 more with the Braves. Then they have a 3-game series in Baltimore. Then they play the Royals for 3. Then they have a 4-game series with Baltimore at home. So, 9 of their last 12 before the break are against the Orioles and the Braves, 2 of the best teams in baseball right now. So they're very likely to be under 500. And the Guardians are 3 games under?
37-40.
So let's say they go 6-1 against Kansas City. That would put them 2 games over, which means to be over 500, they'd have to go 3-3 against the Cubs and Braves, which they can do. So, there you go. They got to go 8-4, right, to finish the All-Star break.
Essentially, yeah.
They've got a good chance to be in first place at the All-Star break.
They have 13 games left, so 3 against Kansas City, 3 against Chicago, 3 against Atlanta, then 4 against
Kansas City, right. So
13 games before the All-Star break.
Yeah, let's say they go 6-1. So if they go 9-5, would they be over? Yes, they would.
They would be over 500.
So if they went 6-1 against Kansas City, they could even go 2-4 against the Cubs and Braves, and they'd still be over 500 at the All-Star break and probably in first place, which is, it's remarkable that this division is so bad.
Yeah.
What do you think, the team that wins the Central, do you think it's going to be the Guardians?
I do.
You do. Jason?
It just doesn't feel like it's a year where they can put it all together, but there's nobody else to do it.
Right. How many wins does the division winner have?
85. 84, 85.
I was going to say somewhere between 84 and 90.
No, that's a big gap, 84 and 90.
I mean, in 97, they won 87 and went to the World Series.
That's right. Well, the Cardinals, remember the year the Cardinals were the wild card and won the World Series not too long ago? They didn't have a ton of wins, I don't think.
What about the Nationals? I know, like, going into the All-Star break the year that they won.
Well, they
the
had a
World
losing
Series.
record. They had a terrible record.
Right.
So did the Braves, actually, when they won the World Series 2 years ago. Yeah,
I'll say yes. They're still going to win the division. I keep going back and forth.
I know. I've been saying all along
it's hard
they're
to
going
have
win
any
it.
confidence in
I
them.
think they're going to win it with like 84 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're not going to do anything in the playoffs, and that's why I still think they're going to trade Bieber. I still think they should trade Bieber.
I do too.
By the way, let me give you some advice. Not that anybody cares but me. I want to say this: the Cubs absolutely should trade Marcus Stroman, 100%. They should not sign him to a long-term deal. Get his ass out of town. His season is an anomaly. The fact that he's leading the National League in ERA is a total fraud. He is going to go back to being mediocre like he is, and the Cubs would be idiots if they sign him to an extension. All right, Mike, go ahead.
So let's move on to talk a little of Bull's favorites, some off-season Cavs stuff here. Because I know nothing gets Bull going like talking about
Like
the young
rankings
players
of
in the
cores.
NBA.
Here's the problem. I'm sorry, but I can't get excited about the Cavs core because they played like absolute shit in the playoffs, and I can't get excited about them. And I don't think they're going to win anything.
So I'm
ever.
still, I still feel some type of way based off the playoff like performance. I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't, and I'm not trying to let my emotions get involved. But the facts are that it's not a talent thing with me. I just think some of the core don't have no heart, and when you don't have no heart, it's hard to really win on that big stage. Yeah, they got all the talent in the world, but to me, I think that they got exposed as a team that lacks toughness and lacks heart.
All true. Is it not talent also? I mean, do they have enough talent? Have we overrated their 4 best players?
No.
And do they have any talent besides that?
Well, no. I mean, the bottom of the roster is awful. Anything
Right.
beyond the top 4 really is
Yeah.
average
Shaky.
at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Jared Allen concerned me in the playoffs with the lights were too bright and the way that he just got absolutely bullied in that series. He's the one with the experience coming from Brooklyn. That's the one that I think is most alarming. I'm not so much, and Donovan wasn't great either, and that's concerning. But the talent obviously is there. He just didn't have a good series. But Darius and Evan being their first time there, I still think this is a really good team. I do think that. I'm curious, what would be successful for you? I know you don't care about the regular season. I tend to agree with you on that. So what if they win one playoff series? Is next year successful?
It's a good question.
It's a
Yes,
step.
so, yeah.
But it's not going to feel like it. In the moment, it won't feel like
right,
it.
because I guess as down as I am on them right now, if they won a series and then if they played a really good team in the next round and played a good series but lost, I would still say, okay, I feel better about the team.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think going there the first time and losing, I didn't like the matchup with the Knicks.
No. And it was just how poorly they played.
Yeah, they got embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I do think it's not inconceivable that they go back and they make a much deeper run, that they win a series, maybe even 2 series. I go back to when we did Fence Riders, and I said I thought they'd be in contention for one of the top 2 seeds. I absolutely think that's true. Being in contention and winning it is not the same
totally
conversation.
different
It's 2 different things. But I think they're totally in contention for one of the top 2 seeds. I think Evan Mobley is going to become that guy. I've been high on him all along. And the way that Mobley and Allen, the way that it's more palatable to play them together is if Evan starts hitting shots, because it's not going to be Jarrett. So Evan's got to start making more shots. And, I don't know how realistic it is to expect him to become this 35% three-point shooter in one offseason. I don't know. But he regressed last year.
Right.
From his rookie year to last year, he regressed. So he has to take some sort of step in his perimeter game.
If he doesn't, by the end of the year, do you think you and others might say maybe he's not going to be that player? If there's no progression this season.
And still only year 3, and he's still only 22, and I'm not going to cap a guy at that age. But it will be disappointing for sure. And I think if he doesn't take that step, then I think you do have to look at breaking up Jarrett and Mobley, because you can't keep playing 2 non-shooting bigs together. It just doesn't
you don't
work
think
in
there's any
today's
chance
NBA.
they're going to get rid of Allen this offseason?
I think it probably would have happened at the draft if it was going to happen. I mean,
Right.
in free agency, they could do something in a where he gets involved in something. But no, I think right now the plan is to bring this back and try it again. And there is a lot of talent. Like, I don't want to be too down on them. There is a lot of talent here. It just ended so poorly last year. It's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
I thought before they traded for Donovan Mitchell, the Cleveland Cavaliers was a playoff team. I thought the trade for Donovan Mitchell would at least allow them to win a series or two. So to me, that's why it was so disappointing to see how they played, to see them get eliminated so soon. I think that when I talk about guys lacking heart or toughness, I'm not talking about Donovan Mitchell. I think he has all of that.
I don't think he showed any heart or any toughness in the playoffs.
He definitely showed, put it to you this way, he showed some accountability. He showed more accountability.
He was the biggest GOAT for the Cavs in the playoffs.
That's true, but I'm just saying, when I look at this thing.
Bad GOAT, not good GOAT.
Yeah, bad GOAT, right.
I just look at it like, I thought that would win the Cavaliers a playoff series, and it didn't. And so now I'm looking at all the pieces around him. Jared Allen, I'm with you. When you came out and said the lights was too bright, that really disturbed me. It seemed like Darius Garland was willing to take a back seat and just let Donovan Mitchell do his thing. And it's like those things can't happen when you get to the playoffs. Like, it's gut check time. You got to show what you really about.
I don't know, though. Darius Garland played better than Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs.
Yeah, but he disappeared. Like, I mean, it was one game. He didn't have no points going into the half. He come out. He had a great third quarter.
He was inconsistent. Darius was inconsistent.
Yeah, he was. And that just, it really pissed me off. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, as far as the Evan Mobley development, 7-footers take a lot longer to develop than a lot of other guys. I think Evan Mobley has gotten better. Like, first year, second year, he improved in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, and then he was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't take the 35% from three-point step this year and he still progresses in other areas, I'm cool with that. I'm not going to give up on his development because his offensive game is not developing at a pace that a lot of people thought. I think that was one of the things that Kobe Altman understood when he drafted him, that his offensive game will take a little longer to develop. He came in as an elite defender.
Yeah.
And so it's about, can it develop enough to mesh with what Jared Allen doesn't do well?
And also, I think we've talked about this on the show before, but the train's out of the station. And so it's not necessarily about getting the most out of Evan Mobley and maximizing Evan's potential. It's about winning games.
Yeah.
And it's an odd spot to be in because usually when you draft a guy third overall, you're going to be not very good for a while. And so he has time to grow and develop. And the Cavs aren't on that time frame now. Like, it's time to win. And so if that means Evan's progression comes along slower at the cost of wins, well, then that's the way it has to go because you're trying to compete for a championship. You're on a finite window on Donovan's contract, and it's time to go. And if that means Evan lags, then that means Evan lags. I still think that there's things they could do, and I wrote about this. I think we talked about it during the season. Give Evan the first touch every game. Why not? Like, and when Kevin was here, he and I had a conversation about it during the championship years. Kevin got the first touch every game. Other teams knew it was coming. It didn't matter. Whether it's an elbow, a corner three, get your big guy involved early. Let him touch the ball. Let him get a feel for the game. Let him see a shot go in, hopefully. And the Cavs just never really made that a priority. And it's those little things. It's not a big deal, but it's the little things of make sure Evan touches the ball the first time down. It's a simple hack code to try and get him activated early. Kevin loved it when Kyrie and LeBron were here. And he had quarters where he had 18, 20 points in the first quarter, and then he finished with 26 or 28. But it was getting him involved early, getting him activated early, really sort of set the tone for big guys throughout the course of the remainder of the game.
Here's a stat that shows you how trash the Cavs organization has been besides when LeBron is here. The Cavs have played 53 seasons in the NBA, right? 53. LeBron's played, 11?
11.
Okay. In LeBron's 11 seasons, do you know how many playoff series they've won?
In his 11 seasons?
11 seasons with the Cavs.
How many playoff series have they won? Well, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Is it close to 20?
16, 17, 18. It's right around 20. I'd say it's right around 20.
You are correct. 21.
There you go.
Cavs have won 21 playoff series, in the 11 years that LeBron's been with the team. In the 42 years without LeBron, how many playoff series have they won?
Less than 10.
Give me a number. I don't want to hear less than 10. Give
6.
me a number. 6 for Earl. Jason.
Oh, man. Let me think.
42 years. And remember, in the early years, it wasn't as many teams in the playoffs, but for a lot of years, it's been 8 teams in the playoffs.
I think he's close. I'd say 7 or 8.
You're saying 7 or 8? Mike, how many playoff series? You got the Cavs. How many playoff series have the Cavs won in the 42 years they have not had LeBron.
I think I saw a stat on this, but I think it's like 3.
All right, Steve, you want to guess?
He says 2.
All right, the answer is you're all wrong, but you're all fairly close. 4.
Man, I doubled it.
Those 90s teams with Daugherty and Price and those guys won 3 series. They went to the conference finals one year.
One time.
And then they won in the first round another year. So they won 3. And then way back in the 70s, they won 1 series. They got to the conference finals. But in those years, there was only 4 teams.
Yeah, there was less rounds.
Right. Think about that. This organization has basically been garbage.
I mean, they instituted rules, the Stepien rule. You can't trade your pick in consecutive years because of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy part, and I'm showing my youth right now. I remember when Terrell Brandon was the point guard, and I seen the Cavs make the playoffs when they were still a Washington Bullets, and Juwan Howard was there.
Yep.
And then I remember when Wesley Person was on this team, and they made the playoffs against the Pacers. Didn't stand a chance against the Pacers. But I was just pumped to see my team in the playoffs because growing up, I never seen the Cavs in the playoffs. Growing up for me, the Browns was not here. The Cavs was horrible, and I hung my hat on every single thing that the Guardians did. My mother used to let me stay up to watch, like, the World Series when they would go play in the World Series. Jose Mesa, man, put me to bed in tears because he just couldn't do his job.
Yeah.
Joe Table. Didn't get it
Couldn't do
done.
his job, man. He couldn't do his job.
Sad but true. All right, Mike, go ahead.
So that was a nice little
Did I kill
detour.
enough time for us to not do this topic?
Nope. We're going to do it no matter what. We're doing it no matter what. So
Good try,
the
though.
Cavs, you just mentioned a lot of the guys
Yeah.
under 25 in the Cavs. Their core, Steve, you take the graphic, of 25 and younger players, their core, young core, is now led by Evan Mobley, of Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Isaac Okoro, and Amani Bates.
Did you make up this core, or is this from some list or something?
No, it's just the 5 guys that
Okay.
are 25 or younger on the team. So I was like,
I mean, that's a little embarrassing putting Amani Bates on that list.
is he younger than 25?
Do we know if he's ever going to play a minute in the NBA?
He's not a core. Amani
I'm
Bates
just saying, is he younger
That's
than 25?
embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have
Wait a
Isaac
minute.
Okoro.
Is this
Here
your
we
list
go.
or is this?
It's Mike's list.
Oh.
No, well, this was there was a post on ESPN.
Jared Allen's not 25?
He's 25.
Oh.
25 and younger. If you
Okay.
read Bull, that's what it says, right? In the Cavalier
He's
color
feisty today.
line
That's
lettering.
fair. I'm picking on him, so he is. I like that.
But no,
going back.
there was a post on ESPN and it listed their 4 or 5 best cores under 25, and I was like, oh, well, let's make a Cavs one, see where it ranks among.
Because they didn't have the Cavs on
They
there.
did not have the Cavs on there, no. And if we're doing just
Monty
core
Bates.
pieces, the bottom 2 on that list are not on there as of today, at all, not even close. So let's.
By
go
the way,
through
by the time the season starts, G and Earl are going to have Amani Bates averaging 17 and 8 this year.
Man, listen.
I'm telling you. Remember I said that.
He's the starting 3 on opening
I don't know.
night.
I saw this guy in summer league. He's looking great.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I think I
Yeah.
put this in our group thread.
Be careful. I know what you're gonna say, Jason. Don't.
I think I know where you're
I
going
know
with
you're
this,
gonna
too.
say. Don't say,
Say
it.
it. No, say it, Jason.
Let's
say
just
it.
move on. I don't want to deal with. You don't get
Say
tagged
it.
in the
I don't
tweets.
know what it is.
You don't get tagged in the tweets. You don't get the YouTube notifications. My phone almost broke last night.
Yo.
What?
Nope. All right, I won't say it.
Man,
Mike,
say
you
it,
D-bag.
man.
Why would you tell him not to say
Nope,
it?
I won't say
Because I know what he's gonna say. I know it's gonna piss off everybody, and I just rather avoid. Look,
No, I want to know. I don't know what it is.
Well, go back and read your text. You can't read the top line of the graphic. You go back and read your damn text, Bull.
Which group chat is it
I
in?
don't know.
It's the good bet group chat.
No, see, here's the thing.
How did I
Me
miss
and,
this?
me and McNuggets was having the conversation via text, and he totally botched what I said.
I got it. Teriyaki chicken bowl and broccoli cheddar too.
Now Bull thinks that I think the man is going to average 2 points a game. What I said was, the first things first, he needs to make the roster. If he plays 10 minutes and somehow finds his way around 10 points a game, then he exceeded every expectation.
Earl said he's going to score 10 points a game, which is almost no chance of happening.
Listen. I won't say what I put in the thread. I'll spare you. But
How long ago was this?
This is after the draft. This is what I will say. I wouldn't be surprised if Amani does well in summer league and everyone starts getting excited. Listen, this dude is not the answer. All right.
Oh, the thing about
This dude is not the answer.
Yeah.
So just get that out of your head right now. Period.
All right. Remember, I said it. G and Earl, 17 and 8 by the time the season starts.
Hey, Monty, man, I'm
He's
cheering
gonna
for you, man.
He's gonna have one big game either in the summer league or in the preseason.
Yep.
And these guys are gonna go
Yep.
bananas.
I seen this reel on Twitter. He said, man, whoever got me, man, I promise you won't regret it.
Good,
I'm
yeah.
He
believing
actually
That's what
used
everybody
he used
says.
audio from
Yeah, he
this
used
show
audio from
in
this
the
show
reel.
as well. So
Amani Bates?
Yeah, in his I'm Coming to Cleveland post, he used audio from this show.
I think what Amani needs to do is hang out with me. I'll teach him how to eat a little bit. I can certainly eat.
I guess I don't have high expectations for him right now, right? But it goes back to what we were just talking about.
Earl said that as if that was a controversial take.
It's just there's certain
The guy is the 49th pick in the draft.
Just hear me out. Just hear me out.
No, because we're having this conversation is absurd. We had idiots in our chat room saying, yeah, he's going to average 8 points and 5 rebounds. The guy's not even going to play the first half of the season. He might not play the whole year. I mean, this is crazy talk.
I'm not even talking about for this year.
It's crazy talk,
I'm just
Mike.
saying overall, the dude has a chip on his shoulder, right? When you failed, when you've disappointed people, everybody loves a good redemption story, and I can speak from my own, man. It drives
redemption
you.
stories can be overrated.
It drives you to another level when people already are counting you out.
And by the way,
there's
what
an intangible
redemption?
there.
It's not like what did he do? What redemption? He just sucked.
There's people. No, it's more than this. He sucked.
Yeah.
He's 19 years old.
Yeah.
He's had some moments to where he's shown that he's a head case, right?
Yeah.
I know how it is to be a 19-year-old head case. I know how it is that because of that, people want to count you out all across the board. And all I'm saying is the dude is a talented basketball player. Is he a little immature? Sure, but what 19-year-old isn't? There's one intangible that I don't care what combine you go to or whatever the case may be. You can't measure heart. You can't measure will. You can't measure somebody just.
But we don't know if he's got any of those things.
No, nothing to back this up. I just believe he got it. It's
I know,
a gut instinct.
right? But
I believe he got it.
There's no way to know that.
I'll tell you what so many people in the NBA, not about Amani, but just in general, talking about guys. Does the tiger change his stripes? I hear that
more often than not, no. More often
And by
than
the
not,
way,
no.
he's still really young. If he is going to grow up, it's more likely to happen when he's already blown it in his late 20s.
And I don't want to.
And maybe he's going to be a good player.
I don't want to kill him over the. It's 49. Like what are we doing? It's the 49th.
Of course,
pick.
there was not. No, there's not. And there's nothing to get mad about. It's just silly for people to get a little crazy about having any expectations for this season.
Yeah.
If you had to bet in 5 years, is he a serviceable bench player or out of the league? What would you bet?
I would bet serviceable bench player.
He's in Europe.
He's in Europe. Mike?
Based on the trajectory of the 242nd round picks I researched over the weekend, much more frequently they end up overseas in Europe in the G League than they do turning
If
into
he's
a
a serviceable NBA player in 5 years, that's an upset. And we'd all take it.
For sure. Yeah.
But fans should have zero expectations for this guy for this year, certainly. And you should not be expecting anything at all. And if he gives you anything this year or going forward, it's a nice bonus. You can't expect any. This is not the NFL 49th pick.
And by the way,
Yeah.
the chicken teriyaki bowl was delicious.
Was it?
It was delicious.
Panera?
Panera.
Once I saw broccoli cheese soup, I figured it had to be Panera.
So
go ahead.
My wife texted me yesterday, and she's like, we're going to Panera if you want something. I got to look at the menu, and I'll text you. And for whatever reason, I just opened my phone, and I thought I was texting her, and I texted the group. And then as soon as I
Thank
hit
God
send,
it wasn't a you-know-what.
You weren't sexting with her or something.
but as soon as I said it, like a minute later, she said, we're standing here waiting on your order. I'm like, I just said it to you. And I was like, and that's when I realized, like, oh.
So let me ask you a question.
Man.
Let me ask you a question. Bull is going to rip me for this, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Ooh.
Right now, right, I think that what he brings as far as his offensive game.
Are we talking chicken teriyaki or Amani Bates?
We're talking Imani Bates.
All right.
I think right now, what he brings offensively is better than what Isaac Okoro going to give you, Cedi Osman is going to give you, and Lamar Stevens. Am I wrong in that?
I don't think that he's a good team player.
Okay.
And, like, he can go out on the playground and he can hoop, and he's going to score. But can he play within the fabric of the team? I don't believe he can.
And you're not pulling that out of your ass.
No.
Yeah. So hey, maybe he'll turn it around.
So, but
It was worthy of that. I absolutely think it was a good move to draft
And that's
him at 49.
why- and that's
because
why-
even if it's a 3% chance he's going to become something,
Yeah.
most of the other guys you draft have a 0% chance.
And Summer League is some hoopers.
Right.
And that's why I think he could go to Summer League and have a big game, and people are going to go crazy.
crazy.
He's going to ball out in Vegas.
So
he's going to look phenomenal in Summer League.
I guess what has Kobe Altman learned from then to now? Because you traded up $5 million to get Kevin Porter Jr., right? You knew what he came with.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the infrastructure in place to sustain that, to develop him, help mature him, etc. Here you are again a couple years down the line, and you're taking another guy with a lot of upside, a lot of potential, but he has some of the same issues. So is the Cavs' infrastructure better today with this pick than it was at that particular time?
No, I don't think so. But I think Porter was a much better.
He was a first-round pick still.
He was a late.
Yeah.
I think he was the last pick of the first round.
Yeah, he was.
And Porter, I think, had a much higher NBA future
Okay.
than Amani Bates. There's a reason one went 30 and one went 49.
If somebody thought he had as much upside as some people are trying to make it seem, somebody would have taken him.
100%.
One of those good teams at the back of the first round would have taken him.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I think it seems like a lot of teams are looking at this like, yeah, there's some raw talent there, but he's not that talented, and he's a pain in the ass, so why am I going to draft him? That's the way it seems.
I told Mike, this is what's going to make fans go crazy.
Yep.
You got current and former NBA players that's already stamping this dude as.
Who? Besides Gilbert Arenas?
Well, I talked to Donovan Mitchell after the.
Yeah, but what's Donovan Mitchell going to say? He's a teammate.
Well, he said that he was going to be a big part of what the Cavs do. I'm just
Donovan
going
Mitchell's
off what he said.
Donovan Mitchell's not going to be here in 2 years.
I'm just going off what my man told me.
To Earl's point,
Yeah.
and I'm going to put a big context, and we'll go from here.
Yeah.
Amani Bates is not a normal second-round pick. Like, we do have to keep that into a little consideration here. The dude was a top 3 overall prospect coming out of high school. He was number 1 at one point. There was a bunch of reasons it hadn't worked out. He went to Memphis. There were some maturity issues at Memphis. He didn't see eye to eye with how Penny Hardaway wanted to play. He leaves Memphis. He goes back home to Eastern Michigan. He gets in a little bit of legal issue with the gun charge. He has a season.
The bottom line. But the bottom line is somebody would have drafted him higher if he had that much upside. Go ahead.
Let me finish. He goes to Eastern Michigan. He has a inefficient but prolific scoring season at Eastern Michigan, playing essentially 1-on-5 for a couple different reasons. A, his teammates weren't very good. B, he doesn't like to pass. Jason said it. And it's what I heard from the same thing. He does not. He plays Amani Bates basketball. He doesn't necessarily play team basketball at this stage of his career. Can he change? Absolutely. And is it worth the upside at 49 to take a guy who has 6'9", shooting ability, the ability to create his own shot and score at a level that most guys at any level in basketball can't do? Yeah, he's absolutely worth the shot. But I do think, to what Earl's saying and to what a lot of people that we've seen in the chat are saying, is to think he's going to come in and immediately from day one be able to mesh into a well-oiled offensive philosophy and system is asking a guy to do something he's never done in 19 years of playing basketball.
And to do it in about 6 weeks.
Right.
Yes.
It's not happening.
That's fair. But for whatever reason, I believe 3 years from now, 4 years from now, we're talking about a guy at minimum that's a serviceable role player for the Cavs. That's just what my guy.
That would be a
if
win.
he is,
That
it's
would
a
be
home run.
That would be
It's
a great
DPJ.
win.
It's a big
Yeah.
name in the 6th round. I don't think it's a apples to apples comparison, but it's exactly the conversation we just had about DPJ as a 6th round pick. If he does that, if he's on this team, it's like Delly. You know, Delly was an undrafted free agent and came in and held a really important role on this team. If they get that out of the 49th pick, it's a home run.
If he's a legitimate minute bench guy in 3 years, that's a huge win by the Cavs.
Sure.
I got zero problem with them taking him, because most of the guys who taking that point are complete
They're going to
slapdicks.
bust anyway.
Yeah. It was worth the risk. It's just be realistic about what he is right now.
Right.
But not what he may be in a couple of years. All right, Mike, what do we got next?
Well, you want to do the actual topic? Where does this rank among the other cores?
Fair enough. Go
Let's
ahead.
see some of the other cores who have a little more depth in their 25 and younger category. Let's start with Oklahoma City, who has SGA, who just made first-team All-NBA, Chet Holmgren, who ended up being the number 1 overall prospect in Amani Bates' class. He was the number 2 pick last year. Didn't play as a rookie.
He's
Josh
a rookie.
Giddey, Jalen Williams, who was a lottery pick last year, first-team All-Rookie, and Kaysen Wallace was the 10th pick this year. That is Oklahoma City's 25 and younger.
Would you rather have Oklahoma City's 25 and under group?
Help me out. Jalen Williams, that's the guy from Kansas, right?
No, he was from Arizona State. He was a 12th pick last year.
Okay.
Finished second in Rookie of the Year.
He was
voting.
good.
He was very, very good.
Yeah, he was good.
Very, very good.
Obviously, what's his name? We didn't play last. Chip.
Chet Holmgren.
Chet Holmgren. Chip.
It's hard to compare these because the Thunder just ball out with wings. Like, they threw a bunch of wings out there, which is what the Cavs are missing. And the wing's the most important position. Talent-wise, I like the Cavs better, but the Thunder are better equipped to win big in today's NBA. Does that make sense, Mike? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
You think Darius or Mobley are better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
I think SGA is the best of them, but I would take the next 2 on on Cleveland over Oklahoma City.
You agree?
I think
Like
Shai's the
between
best.
all of them?
Yeah, I like Shai the best. Shai's really
He just won.
good.
He made first-team All-NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great last year.
Yeah.
It
He
should
was
have been
great the year
Spider.
before.
What did he say?
It should have been
Oh,
Spider.
stop
Jesus
it.
God, here we go.
Well, he's not under 25.
I mean,
so
he has done
he's
things
got it.
LeBron's never done in the Cavs uniform.
Here we go.
Yeah, like
brought
choke
that
like a dog. LeBron never choked.
It should have
like
been my
that.
boy Spider, man.
Hey,
Donovan
you brought,
Mitchell.
I wasn't going to bring it up until you.
Hey,
Hey, let's move on. I don't even want to talk about this no more.
All right, let's go to the Magic.
no offense to Donovan Mitchell, but he played like ass in the playoffs. No
Let's go to
offense.
the Magic next. They're 25 and young. You have number 1 overall pick last year, rookie of the year, Paolo Banchero. You have Franz Wagner. They just took Anthony Black with the 6th pick in the draft. Jalen Suggs was the 4th pick last year. And somehow, Markelle Fultz is still
I thought he was like 30 by
24
now.
years
Well,
old.
he was 13 when he was drafted, so.
He's been in the league, what, 6 or 7 years now?
It's been a long time.
He's the same draft class as Jason Tatum.
Well,
That's
Banchero
incredible.
was the rookie of the year.
That's incredible.
Banchero was rookie of the year.
I like the Cavs better than the Magic. The Magic have some talent, but I like the Cavs. If we're going,
Those were all ranked higher, right, on this list?
The Cavs weren't listed on the best 25 and under cores. That's why I wanted to add them in, because I actually think their top 3 of Mobley, Garland, and Allen is about as good as any top 3. Now, the depth beyond that, if you don't want to say Okoro and Bates belong in the same discussion as these other ones,
yes.
I'm not going to argue with you, but the top 3 and really the top 2 of Garland and Mobley, I put up against almost any of these, which we got a couple more coming.
Right.
Yeah, I'd go pound for pound the top 3 with anyone in the league. I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, next up, the Spurs. This is a total projection because Victor Wembanyama has never played a single second of any organized basketball in the NBA. But you have him, Jeremy Sohan, who was a first-round pick last year, Devin. I don't know if it's Vassell or Vassell. I get confused.
I
every
say
time
Vassell,
hear it.
but I don't know.
Vassell. He's a solid role player they have. Lottery
Yeah.
pick Keldon Johnson scored 20 points a game
But
last
you would
year.
trade Garland, Mobley, and Allen for those top 3.
I would, yes.
In a
I
minute.
just think Wembanyama has a chance to be otherworldly special.
Vassell's a really good player, too.
Yeah, and Keldon Johnson, I think, is a really good wing.
That might be the best group. I mean, we're just if Wemby is as good as everybody says he's going to be.
I'm going to tell you why I think it could be the best group because of who the head coach is. I think Pop can develop all those dudes to reach their full potential.
Does he still have it, Pop, or is he past it?
Yes,
Is he
this
out of it?
whole does he still have it thing is nuts. These guys don't forget how to coach, man.
He's old, though. He's cranky.
It's hard, I think, for like the Grudens who leave, take 10 years off, and come back.
Sure, yeah.
La Russa, 81, take all that time off and come back. Then you could say,
Yeah.
these guys are
All right,
still
then
coaching.
it's a fair point by Earl. I mean,
These guys are
he's
still
the best
coaching.
coach along with Spoelstra, the best
Spo
coaches in the league.
and Pop are terrific.
Yeah.
All right,
Go
2
ahead, Mike.
more. How about the Pistons? Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, who was the 5th pick last year, 5th pick. They had Jalen Duren, who was a first-round pick, Asar Thompson, who was the 5th pick in last week's draft, and Isaiah
Not
Stewart.
impressed.
This is the worst one in the group.
Cunningham missed half the season, killed my fantasy team. I only finished 2nd instead of 1st because he got hurt. So F him.
I think the Cavs core is better than theirs, personally.
I do too.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite of all the cores.
Yeah, I would agree.
And last but not least, how about Houston? They had too many guys to fit on the graphic, similar to Oklahoma City. So
My
I picked
boy.
the 5. I put up there. I picked 4, then I put Kevin Porter Jr. just because I knew Earl was up there today. And that was going to sway his decision because he is the biggest Kevin Porter Jr. fan, maybe outside of Kevin Porter Jr.'s immediate family. Joining him on the list, though, you have Amen Thompson, who was the 4th pick, Tari Eason, who was a really good rookie last year, Jabari Smith Jr., who made the all-rookie team. He was the 3rd pick last season, and then Jalen Green, who was the 2nd pick 2 years ago. I'm still taking the Cavs over these guys.
Yes, agreed.
Even 1 through 5, give me the Cavs.
Well,
Their
if-
top 3 is significantly better.
If you recall the whole trade simulator thing that we did on the show when me and Anthony kind of went crazy, I did a trade that brought back Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr.
Oh, my
so
goodness.
What was that for?
I think I gave up Jared Allen, Isaac Okoro, Seti Osman, Lamar Stevens, whatever the case may be. Listen, man, the cash should have never moved on from Kevin Porter Jr. I'm going to stick with that.
Wait a second. What did Earl just say again?
Do you remember it? I was out on the panel, and I believe you were there. It was the day after I did my, hey, these could possibly happen, Jared Allen
Whose trade was
trades.
worse, Earl's or Anthony's?
Well,
Anthony's
Anthony
was
traded
worse. He
Donovan
traded
Mitchell
Donovan
and
Mitchell.
Jared Allen for Michael Porter Jr.
I traded Jared Allen.
The trade I just heard was Earl say the Cavs getting 2 good players for 4 useless players. Is that what I got?
I think it was 5 useless players.
Oh,
But yeah,
5
that's the
useless
premise of the
players?
trade.
Yeah.
You think they give up who?
Well, it won't happen, but the Cavs got back Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr.
Why on earth would the Rockets make that trade?
I don't think that they would,
Oh.
but It went through on the ESPN trade simulator. So
That's the worst thing ever created. Is that?
Oh my God! Everybody thinks they're
friggin'
a
trade
GM
simulator.
now.
The crap that I get sent to me. Hey, what do you think about this? Who says no? I'm like, me. I'm not reading this junk. I'm saying no.
I like the Rockets core though. I like their young 25 and under core. I think they're very talented. I think there's a lot of potential, a lot of upside there. Some of those guys got some maturity issues and things like that. But
if you had to pick one of those cores and you're starting a team, which would you take? Including
Who
the
would you
Cavs?
pick, and where would you rank the Cavs?
I would probably go, even though I know nothing about him, I would probably go with the Spurs just because everybody's so crazy, thinks this guy's going to be the next superstar. I would take Oklahoma City second and probably the Cavs third.
Yeah, I like OKC. I mean, I know this isn't part of the conversation, but they have, I think last I looked, 37,613 first-round picks.
No, but just that core.
I know, but I'm saying what they have and their capabilities of adding to compared to where the Spurs are and where the Cavs are.
It's 38,936.
They just made another trade.
Yeah, they just made another trade.
I think I would take the Spurs just because of the Wemby factor.
And then the Cavs third?
Probably the Cavs third on that.
Who are we
list.
forgetting? We got Detroit we put behind.
If we do top three, I'd go Spurs Cavs. If we have to include if we're going to five or so, and I can add in the picks and the future assets, I'd take the Thunder over the Cavs.
Okay.
I would go.
So if it's just the top three, you go Cavs second behind
Cavs
the Spurs.
second.
I would go Spurs, Cavs, Thunder, Rockets in that order.
Oh, the Rockets, that's who I forgot.
I put Kevin Porter Jr. on there over at Sengun just for Earl, and it worked. Got him hook, line, and sinker
that's
number
true.
3. All right.
Yeah.
We got 2 more things we got to get to in 5 minutes. First, we got to remind everybody what's going on July 12th through the 16th, which is the official Call It Companies Championship golf event over at the famous Firestone Country Club. Get all your tickets at calligolf.com. They have the information for everything you need to know about the wonderful event coming next month. And we also got to give out a few tickets to the USFL Championship game. So, Anthony, I know you're on a 30-second delay. Be ready to listen. But we are looking for the 9th person to put Director Steve in the chat. The 9th person to put Director Steve in the chat
on Cokes,
will win
Director
4
Steve on
tickets to the USFL Championship game this Saturday in Canton. Check out Boogie take on the
at least I hit the
Birmingham
rim.
Stallion.
I had the right line, wrong speed.
Jason, one thing that's getting kind of aggregated around right now is a possible Jared Allen for Jonas Valanciunas swap. I just saw it on Twitter. It's popping around real quick. It was reported by somebody. I missed. Was it Windhorst, I believe?
Oh, really?
He said that some people were talking about a potential swap. Yeah, Windhorst on ESPN Cleveland and said that there were some conversations, or at least a call was made. How deep the conversations, who knows? But a Valanciunas to Cleveland, Jared Allen to NOLA swap. Does that move the needle for you whatsoever?
I don't think so. I think I'd rather have Jay. They really like Valanciunas coming out of the draft. You know, I mean, 6 lifetimes ago. But no, I think I'd rather have J.A.
Wasn't there a
Valanciunas is a
significant
big
NBA
dude.
trade yesterday? The Hawks. What's his name?
Yeah, John Collins
it was a money
salary dump.
Yeah, it was a money dump.
He was a pretty good player, wasn't he?
The luxury. We keep telling you,
Yeah.
the new CBA is going to cause chaos
So Collins got traded where?
to Utah for nothing, essentially.
Like Utah is going to be a player sooner than later. They're going to be Utah and OKC, man.
No thanks to Colin Sexton, though.
So Danny Ainge is out here finessing everybody without giving up many assets and things like that.
He gave up Donovan Mitchell.
He gave up Donovan Mitchell and he gave up
a few weeks ago, Earl saying that that Donovan Mitchell's better than LeBron. Now he's saying that he gave up nothing.
I never said he was.
What is it?
I never said he was better than LeBron.
You said he had a better
I
season
said
than
that
LeBron.
he had arguably one of the best single seasons in Cavs history.
Are you ready to apologize for that?
No,
He
did.
already apologized.
He apologized.
I did apologize for it. I did apologize for
LeBron
it.
slander.
No, that's no LeBron slander. I'm a huge LeBron fan.
By the way, if LeBron had played his whole career with one arm tied behind his back, who would be better, LeBron or Donovan Mitchell?
Spider.
Yeah, it's Spider.
I'm not doing this.
But hey, real quick.
I'm still going LeBron.
On the Valanciunas thing.
What's his contract? I don't know what his contract is.
I think it's 1 year shorter than Allen, so it'd be a little money. But he got a big extension. I'll double check that. I don't think he makes the Cavs, and I think Allen's a better fit with the Cavs.
I agree.
He can't shoot, and he's a defensive liability. And if anything, he's less mobile. than Allen, so that's just less space to work with.
I mean, if it's a 1-for-1, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're getting some sort of assets back, let's have that conversation, I guess. But no, I'd rather have J.A.
All these options are so.
Oh, he's entering the last year. This is last year of his contract.
Valanciunas?
Yeah.
So you're getting off future Jarrett money.
How many more years does Jarrett Allen have?
2 more after this. At $20 million apiece.
What a waste.
It's not a waste.
Have I gone too far? Have I gone too far?
It's not a waste.
But you keep saying he's a good regular season player. Who cares?
No. I still think Jarrett Allen can help this team win. I do think that. But I think that he's the most movable piece to try and get what you really need. But I'm going to die. I'm glad it's 12:59.
Oof.
What they really need is not another Jonas Valanciunas.
All right, that's it for us.
I'm out of water. I'm going to die.
Or is there one more thing you had to do real quick, Mike?
No, we got tickets to the call agreed.
What's going on in overtime?
We have a special NFL challenge from Anthony, but I can't find the tweet right now, so give it a
All right. See you on overtime. Actually, I won't be here. I got to get out of here. Later.